What's going on, guys? Welcome back to You Know Ball Podcast. I am your host, Trill Bro Dude, and what a fucking week it has been for the Philadelphia 76ers, the only team that is currently in the news in the NBA. And to discuss it all, we have brought in Mike Chiodo, favorite of the podcast, who is going to help us put Morey on Slop Trial today. What's going on, Mike?
Fine, I guess. I mean, Sixers are a disaster as normal, but
at least you have the Phils.
At least we have the Phils. The Phils are a special group of guys.
They're back.
Oh, they never left. They never left.
Apologies for that. I didn't mean to imply that they have.
The Phils aren't tryhards unlike the Atlanta Braves. They pace themselves.
Exactly. It's like the Miami Heat. They're not
imagine being the Atlanta Braves. Like, it's July and there's nothing to watch because you already have everything locked up. That would suck. I don't want to do that.
Let's try hard.
No hunger. Like, you know,
I don't want to win. Why would you want to win 115 games? I want to win 90 games and sneak into a playoff spot. Have some emotion.
Exactly.
There we go.
Exactly. We just saw this in the NBA. We see it in
baseball.
We saw it in hockey.
We saw it with the Phils.
Yeah. Saw it with the Phils. It's a smart thing to do. Maybe the Sixers can learn a thing or two. Maybe that's why they signed 6 centers. Like you're so maybe 40%
of 5. We need a 6th.
Okay, gotcha.
I want another center.
So Daryl, I know that you follow me on Twitter now. So you're obviously watching this episode. If you're out there, sign a 6th center, please.
Daryl, now that I think about it, there's a real chance you're watching this. Do not sign a 6th center. It is a choice.
Daryl, I'd just like to welcome you to the YKB podcast. Mr. Morey, I'm sorry. I apologize for the familiarity. Feel free to DM me and let me know if it is okay for me to call you Daryl. I think of you like a distant father to me. I noticed you're cutting some costs recently, and I noticed that some of the people who work in your front office probably command 6-figure salaries, high 5. I'm willing to do that for like $10K and maybe any bored apes you have flying around or maybe a drooling lion or any those.
Any slurp juice you might have.
Yeah. Any slurp juices that I can put on my apes. I can just be paid in that and I can join your front office. So I'd just like you to bear that in mind as we go through today, as I will be acting as your pro bono legal defense, much like Donald J. Trump does not pay his lawyers. You will not need to pay your lawyer in the Slop Trial, as I will be your defendant.
Exactly. So we got you covered. We got a public defendant here for, as everyone needs in a just society, defending you from the hogs that are trying to attack you. I think it's really noble and courageous. And by the way, before we get into the underdog stuff, keep an eye out for the You Know Ball NFT collection that's dropping soon. So
I didn't think we needed the 9/11 to be like the NFT, but I get why we had it. The brand is strong. So anyway, keep an eye out for that. I don't want to tip our head.
It's just flop coming out of the towers.
A second Shams tweet has hit the towers. It's a spelling correction.
It's a great way to introduce Daryl to the pod.
Yeah, exactly.
Locked in.
He's got to get familiar.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Super follow Trill at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. Shout out to Elon. So this is the underdog fantasy team that I drafted today. On Underdog right now, you could go on and you can sign up for their best ball for this upcoming season. You build a team for the NBA season. You can draft 16 players. I drafted my first one today because it went live today. Use the promo code SLOP to get a $100 deposit match on there. For anyone who's listening, we got Trae Young, Devin Booker, Devin Vassell, Jordan Clarkson, Shaden Sharp, Emmanuel Quickly, D'Anthony Melton as my guards. I gotta say, I fucking crushed it with the guards here. Pretty much all of these guys are starters. Like, I don't know how I got D'Anthony Melton with basically the last pick in the draft. When Morey hit himself today, said that Melton's probably going to start for us.
Great.
I fucking crushed it.
Yeah.
yeah. Great news. Great news.
Talking about next season feels like a threat.
So my strategy here was basically go with the guys who are proven, like Trae Young, Devin Booker, and then go for upside swings and guys who could potentially start. And then if you look at my wings, I have Lauri Markkanen, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Bojan Bogdanovic, Dorian Finney-Smith, and my bigs are Miles Turner, Clint Capella, Mitchell Robinson, and Andre Drummond. So go on Underdog today, sign up. You can do a best ball. You can win ton of money on there. It's only $10 to sign up for this. You can check it out if you have not already. Sign up for Underdog. Link is in the description for that as well.
The trial.
So before we get into the trial, I just want to talk a little bit about how we got to this point. Because this I wanted to do the slop trial for Daryl anyway this offseason. So this kind of set us up for the perfect opportunity with his comments today on the radio, Joel's comments, which we haven't even discussed yet, that happened this past weekend, where he basically said, I want to win a title more than anything. And if that's in Philadelphia or elsewhere, that is the first time that he's ever implied that he would play anywhere but Philadelphia. So before I give my opinion on this, I need to hear what Chiodo has to say, because obviously, Chiodo, I think that you've been a pretty, up until recently, and even still recently, you generally give Embiid benefit of the doubt. What did you think when you first heard him say those comments?
First of all, the initial, let's just talk about the initial comments first. I don't know did he just think that people weren't going to see it? Because it did kind of get buried. Like, it was 4 days later.
Yeah.
I maybe just thought people weren't going to see it. That's not really giving the benefit out, because if you follow Joel, he thinks about everything. He's very calculated. So to give him the benefit of the doubt, you could say maybe this offseason is the first time that he's thought about, hey, maybe I'm not going to finish my career in Philly. I don't think that's what it is. I think he probably has thought about just what it would take for him to request a trade. And then getting to yesterday, all the tweets and stuff. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're not trolling. And we all saw the video. You were not trolling.
No, that was just a genuine.
Own up to it. And be like, yeah, it was an interview. I was just riffing. I was just saying, I'm going to finish my career. I don't know where I'm going to finish my career. I'm young. I'm not retiring anytime soon. I know that it's a business.
Yeah.
Just give a canned PR response.
Sure. Instead of just being like, oh, I'm a troll, LOL, which it very obviously was not that.
Dude, does he realize how mad people are? Like, do you realize
so that was my thing. Is like, you're claiming that you're trolling, but like, you're trolling your fan base who are like reaching the end of their the rope. This is like sending a clown in to like negotiate with a hostage situation, and like he pulls out a gun and then it goes bang, like a little flag that rolls out. Like, it was a joke. I was joke. Why are you guys so tense? It's
like,
fine.
If I thought Joel was just like completely unaware and like cut himself off from the internet and everything, I'd be just like, all right, whatever. Like, he just doesn't get it.
Sure.
He's aware of everything more than any superstar. He knows people are mad. I think so. I don't know at this point.
He does. He follows me on Twitter, dude. Like, and he uses Twitter, even though he pretends like he doesn't.
Maybe he just doesn't get it. Does he not get that this is different this time? Like, this is different this time. This is not like past years when people were mad for a month or so. They got over it. They weren't mad at you specifically, actually, in the past.
Never.
People are mad at you now.
Yes.
They're livid. It's been 2 months, and the Sixers are still the main topic in Philadelphia every day. I've never seen that before, ever. It's always, at this point in the year, it's always Eagles. And it's still Sixers. That's how mad people are. People are furious.
I just want to say that I think the perfect example of him always having like coded tweets, coded quotes, whatever. Mike has pointed this out before. He likes he's liked my tweets before. He likes a lot of viral tweets.
He sends
that
messages
blow up
with his likes.
He sends messages with his likes if he's liking something that is like, making fun of another player or whatever. So everything that he's ever liked is sending a message for sure. Mike himself, there was a tweet he had where he literally just tweeted Bridgerton, like the show on Netflix. Like, he was watching Bridgerton. And Mike went on a Sherlock Holmes mission to dig into it and be like, what is this?
It was like during the middle of like Slop too. It was like June 28th or something.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, what is happening with
everything he tweets
Anthony Bridgerton?
There's no way he's just tweeting Bridgerton because he watched Bridgerton. That's not how he works.
Yeah, that was and more recently he tweeted again The Watcher, which is also a show on Netflix.
That one was obvious. He meant something though.
But
Like the Bridgerton one,
clearly,
maybe he was just watching Bridgerton. Sure. I can't figure. The Watcher, he knew what he was doing with that.
Yeah, he tweeted that in the middle of all of this too.
That was July
like
1st, I think. That was right after the Harden thing. It was right after Dame requested a trade.
Yep. So the reason that I say this is because one, Joel's calculated. Joel, if he says something, it's to drive across a point. I even as someone who has critiqued him more and has been kind of disappointed with his playoff performances and all that shit, I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt in one regard, which is I thought about this and I took a step back and I said, Joel's been through a lot of shit with the Sixers. He's had a ton of different teammates. He's had co-stars, guys coming and leaving, no continuity. He had the Fultz thing. He stuck by Fultz side. He stuck with the team. He had the Simmons thing. He's always had something with the team and the organization that he easily could have asked out at any point, and it would have been a reasonable thing for him to do, I think. He's stuck with them through everything, and now it's like the first time that people have kind of steered their criticism towards him, it has now become this, maybe if I could go, I might go somewhere else. And look, he has every right to do that. Every player, especially a player of his caliber, has the right to ask out at any point if they want to trade or whatever. We've talked about this ad nauseum, and it's just something that happens. And it's something that we've been talking about, and why last offseason, this deadline, all that shit, we've been like, be aggressive, because if you're just passive and you're conservative, your star starts to get like, all right, well, what the fuck are we doing here? We're salary dumping Matisse Thybulle at the deadline for a guy that we're going to let walk in the offseason. We're then last summer, we're making moves. We're trying to get guys, but the ideas that Daryl, that we'll talk about in a little bit, are a little bit stale, and they're like the same guys. And having said all this, I still think this team this past year was good enough to win the championship. And there are people that will blame Tobias Harris and DeAnthony Melton and Tyrese Maxey and George Niang or whatever. But at the end of the day, this team was a few made shots, a takeover moment from one of Joel Embiid or James Harden, who were the two best players on the team. Mainly Joel, who's the best player in the team and touched the ball one time in the last 6 minutes of Game 6 at home against the Celtics, when they had a chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, kind of get over this big thing that has been the roadblock in his career, which is that he just can't beat the Celtics in the playoffs. And he had a chance to rewrite his legacy, his chance to rewrite everything that has happened to this part in his career, and he disappeared. And then he just didn't show up for Game 7. Once things got a little bit hard, he completely shut off after the Celtics seemingly solved the Sixers in Game 6. So, part of me understands Joel, but part of me also is like, you could have specifically overcome this. And the guys that I really have to turn to at this point is I think this team was flawed. Every team was flawed this year. Every team had flaws. Michael Porter Jr. shot 15% from 3 in the finals, and the Nuggets won in 5 games. They had defensive flaws. They had teams, that was not a perfect team. Miami Heat were an 8 seed, and they got to the finals. The Celtics had issues defensively, point of attack issues that Harden and Maxey exploited over the course of the series.
No, I think they were fine.
They had shot creation issues that popped up again in the Eastern Conference Finals. Every team was flawed this year, and the Sixers were good enough to get to the conference finals, and win a title, and they didn't for the 6th time. So, at a certain point, people are going to direct this criticism towards you, and ultimately, you have the right to ask out, you have the right to do all this, but at the same time, you're part of it too. The lack of responsibility taken by him is really what pisses me off, to be honest. That's all it just comes down to. It's if he just came out and was like, look, I know he kind of passively has said, I need to be better, but also that's always coupled with we need to be better.
It's always but.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dude, I've defended you forever
Yeah.
Like, I still am defending you. Like, I can't do it publicly because you've made it so I can't do it publicly.
Yeah, sure.
But it's like, dude, like, you come on. First of all, your first response to that is the first tweet you send when Sixers fans are freaking out after late yesterday morning because of the clip went viral. Is we're in this thing forever together forever, 5 days, and you're talking about your wedding. Like, congrats, seriously, congrats. But are you serious? Like, come on, man. You've been here for 10 years. You've always talked about the relationship you have with the fan base, and it's real. Like, we have been through, the Sixers fans and Embiid have been through more.
Wait, is he married in 5 days? Was that, or 4 days now?
Apparently in the interview, he said that his wedding's coming up, and that's what people have said, that it's
apparently about his wedding. But also, that was 100% trolling.
Like, why are you doing that? Like, come on. People are mad. For the first time, people are mad at you. You've always had a scapegoat. You don't have a scapegoat now. Even with Harden, and people are mad at Harden, you don't have a scapegoat. I don't know if he's ready for next season. I don't know if he's ready for what's going to happen next season, because he's going to get zero leeway next season. He has a bad game. He's going to get booed. He's going to get really booed. He's never been really booed before.
No.
Like,
yes, they booed. Oh, the team plays.
Yeah, but booing him. Like, on opening night, there's a chance when they announce his name on opening night, he gets booed. There's a real chance, especially after this.
Well, and not to mention, like, the national media temperature of, like, people are like, national media people are acting like Embiid, like, tricked them into voting for him for, like, MVP, like, that they were, like, gaslit by, like, Embiid and voted. Oh, you tricked! I was gonna vote for Jokic, and then you tricked me. So they're, like, pissed at him, like, out of nowhere. So, like, and Jokic won a title, which is, like, probably the worst thing that could happen to Embiid, also, because that's always invites the comparison. So it's probably going to be a pretty nasty season for Joel.
It's going to be like, I think things could really spiral here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's going to handle next season well at all. If things go the way I think it could. I mean, they could be like 21-5. They could start the season next year like 21-5, and then go to Boston for the first time all year, and he could have a bad game and they lose by 15, and people will lose their minds.
Yeah.
Like, this is your reality now until you get out of the second round. I'm sorry, but you did it to yourself. And like you said about the East, there is no excuse. Like, I'm sorry he's had injuries. There is no excuse when you look at the landscape of the East the past 5 years that they have not had a real playoff run. There's no excuse when you have a player like Embiid. None.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
No, I agree. And also, like I said, and some of this is hindsight bias because I know information now that I didn't know when the Sixers were in these playoff series, like the Hawks series, for example. Mm-hmm. I didn't know Ben Simmons was going to have a mental breakdown in the middle of the series and be unplayed. Like, I thought that they would have obviously won that series.
Yeah, but the Hawks series, it's tough to blame him completely for that.
That's the only season I know he played like shit in Game 4.
He had the meltdown in Game 4.
Game 4, he was really bad, and like honestly, the end of Game 7 was disappointing.
Yeah,
but he was the best player in that series.
He was exhausted. They had no options because of Ben, and on Daryl too, because they had no one. Ben flaps. They had no other offensive options.
Yeah,
and Embiid had to initiate everything.
Yeah,
but like the Raptors, the Raptors series, like I know his on-offs were historic, but like, dude, he averaged like 17 a game in that series. He had some massive clunkers. Game 4, and I know he was sick or whatever, but
it's always something. It's like that's the thing. Is like he's either sick or injured or whatever, and like whether it's fair or not, that's always going to be attached to the criticism that comes with this shit. And I just want to say that like I want to talk about like, do we think that this is, which honestly, what I would agree with him, that do we think this is said in order to put pressure on the front office to make a Harden deal, essentially? And I know publicly and privately he said,
okay, maybe, but then why are you tweeting Daryl Morey's the best troll? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's it's everything he's done for the past 6 months has just been like crossing wires. It was like the thing that we don't talk about on the podcast, but the article when he went to the Athletic and he talked about like the poorly timed quotes with everything.
I'm just gonna say it. He is so lucky that didn't get brought up again after the Nuggets won. Like, I don't know how. How did Nuggets fans miss that?
I don't know. I would have been if I were if we were the opposite and I were a Nuggets fan, I would have been like, LOL.
Like, how did Nuggets fans miss that?
Yeah.
Like, what an embarrassing quote. Like, what an embarrassing quote.
The reason I say this is because I think that Joel doesn't, and totally understandably, does not want to go through what we went through in 2021. And it's easy to say now, well, the Sixers got James Harden. They got off the Ben Simmons contract easily.
It's not happening with expiring 34-year-old James Harden.
That, but more importantly, it also, even though they got the talent upgrade, they were never able to. There's never been a team that has traded for a star in the middle of the season and went on to win the title, except for the Houston Rockets, who had won the title the previous year. So those things don't happen. Like the Suns just traded for Kevin Durant and didn't win the title. The point I'm trying to bring up here is that he doesn't want to have to go through what they went through that year, but the alternative is what? Because the Clippers deal right now, all we've heard is they're not offering any draft picks or even Terrence Mann.
Yeah, like I can't, again, like the whole, I can't blame him if he were to request a trade. Like a year from, let's just say a year from now, they flame out in the second round again. They don't have a plan. He requests a trade. Like I can't blame him for that.
Sure.
It's the way you act. It's like, do you realize the responsibility you have as the MVP of the league, top 5 player in the league? I don't think he realizes it. Like, honestly, I don't think another thing I kind of really gotten tired of over the years is the whole make these passing comments, like self-degrading comments, like, oh, they trade me for Steph Curry in a second, or I'm not the GM. That's not my job. Like, yes, you are. You have that power. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Do you realize the power you have? Do you realize the power you have when you say that you might request when you say Philly or somewhere else? Do you realize that? Do you realize the power you have when you're trolling on Twitter, when everyone's freaking out 2 months after you didn't show up in Boston? Like he has to realize this. He has to realize this. Like you're 29 now. You've been doing this for 5 years in Philadelphia. You should realize this.
This is what I've been saying about everyone's like, well, he wants to be like Dirk, or he wants to be like Kobe, or he wants to be like Dame was before this offseason. And like, that's awesome. But also, if you don't make a conference finals, let alone an NBA finals, at a certain point, people are going to get pissed. Like, that's what happens. The Northeast and Philly is just different than most of the rest of the country. Like, people really care about sports here, and at a certain point, they're going to be like, why haven't you produced at the higher levels? And that's... Like
I said, if you turn on WIP the last 2 months, it's just nonstop. Ripping Embiid, ripping Morey, ripping Harden. In other cities, they would have moved on May 17th.
Yeah.
It's just not how it's going to work here. And it's going to be like this until you get out of the second round. No one's going to care about what you do. They're just going to be mad. Even when you win, people are going to be mad. That's just the reality.
Yeah. And part of me thinks that make it, like, once again, I don't think there's anything that's real on the table for Harden right now. Like, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Trading Harden for Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, filler, whatever, it arguably makes the team worse. Covington might give you a little bit of bench depth, but like Marcus Morris actively makes your team worse. And you're not solving any issues. You're not giving yourself any sort of way to flip that package or whatever. So, like, if that's the only thing out there, then that is not something that you can do on July 18th just to appease people. Like, we have to see how much the Clippers are willing to really kind of negotiate with this stuff. Because if they're just saying, we're not giving up, man, we're not giving up any picks, like, there's no deal to be made.
It does make you wonder if this just plays out where the Clippers never offer. Now, let's just say they're forced to take Marcus Morris, Covington, Powell picks for whatever. Is Embiid just then going to turn around and be mad at the front office? Like, why don't you just pay James Harden?
Exactly.
That could be happening right now. I don't know.
That's what I said. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing with Harden, because it's like.
But also just thought of it like, if you're mad about that, then tell them pay James Harden. You can do that. You have the capability. If you went to Daryl Morey on June 28th and said, I want Harden here or else, he would say
for a trade.
Yeah, they pay James Harden. Like,
yes. Yeah, and if it were ownership that were saying that, then he would say, okay, well, then trade me. Yeah. Because ownership isn't willing to budge. And honestly...
Well, maybe that's why this isn't happening, because
like,
Daryl's kind of caught between a hot rock and a hard place there.
But if he says ownership isn't willing to pay, what is ownership going to change their mind? Like,
you're the MVP of the league. If you wanted them to give James Harden 3 years, 120 or whatever, they would have done it.
Yeah, of course. And I don't know. I'm frustrated because it's like once again, I said you're damned if you do, damned if you don't with the Harden situation, where like you would have. I'm not even sure you can win a title with James Harden because I just don't. I don't know if his style of play at the higher levels, especially with his age now, and that how much he demands the ball, and the floor of his game being the worst player on the court. Some nights you're going to get best player on the court. Some nights you're going to get passable. Some nights you're going to get he is by far the worst player.
And you know that's going to happen at least like 2 times in a playoff series.
Exactly,
and they're going to be 2 losses. That's 2 losses.
That is hard to overcome. But at the same time, they're not even in Game 6 or Game 7 without at least one of those Harden performances, if not both of them. And that's where it becomes tricky. And I don't know. I'm just very conflicted because I don't think there's a Harden deal out there with the Clippers that makes sense. There's no other teams that are interested. And I think that you need, like, their only option is to wait right now. And, like, I understand from a human element, like, Joel's like, I'm not doing this shit again because the fans feel the same way. They're like, I'm not doing this shit again. But this is the only time where I feel like I understand why Morey hasn't made a deal. But, Mike, you brought up something to me where you're like, I kind of think that this is what Morey wants, though. Like,
yeah, like, I think
he doesn't want to make a deal with the Clippers.
What I think's probably happening is the Clippers are refusing to offer Man or whatever. They're offering Marcus Morris, Norm Powell, Robert Covington, whatever. And Morey's probably just like, all right, great. I want to keep Harden anyway. That's you giving me my excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Here's my out. Oh, they're not giving us anything. So like, what can we do?
And again, I don't know if this is the case. It may not be, but what Morey should have been pushing for this. Like, at this point, it's too late now. Like, at this point, you got to play it out. But like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, before free agency started, he should have been pushing hard.
Yeah,
because you're gonna, even if you make this trade now, you don't have time. You're not gonna be able to tool with the roster.
Yeah.
It's the same
he
thing
always says that on in the radio interview today. He says, "Don't judge the roster for July. Judge the roster when you're in the season or after the deadline." That's like, dude, you don't make moves during the season. You have made one move every season as GM of the team.
And
one
he did
move
the same,
every season.
He did the same thing the Ben year, where they didn't make a single move in the offseason. A single move. They signed George Yang and Andre Drummond and brought back everyone else. And what happened was they trade for Harden at the deadline, and they didn't give them. They just had the same team except with Harden replacing Ben. And like, it's the same. Like, you need to make. I get that you need flexibility. I get you need to maximize whatever. I get it, but there is some. You can't just sit on your hands all offseason.
Yeah. So let's get into the Slop Trial then, because we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Daryl, and some of the quotes will come up that he had today throughout the course of the Slop Trial, I'm sure. So I'm going to bring up Daryl Morey's transaction history, and we're going to start.
Your Honor, unrelated to the case at hand.
This is the evidence, dude. This is evidence.
He was under the influence of Tillman Fertitta. This is
No. This is just with the Sixers. I want to make that clear. The Rockets. Morey, I think even with some of the weird shit that happened at the end, I largely think he was a good GM for them, even though he did a lot of the same. Rockets fans have pointed out, like, he said the same thing in 2018. Don't judge the team right now. Wait until the deadline. And then at the deadline, the only moves he made were tax saving moves. Like,
all right, now judge the team. Go beast mode on me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so we're just going to do, since he has become the president of basketball operations, this is the official start of the Slop Trial. Since he has become the president of basketball operations with the Sixers, for the audio listeners, I'm going to read off. We're just going to talk about draft night 2020, which was his big splash. He gets hired as GM of the team back in 2020. First thing that he does, honestly, it didn't get finalized until a few weeks later on December 8th, 2020. But the first thing he did before anything started on draft night, he traded Al Horford, the pick that became Teo Maledon, the rights to Vasilij Micic at the time, and a 2025 first-round pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Terrence Ferguson, Danny Green, Vincent Poirier, and that pick was top 6 protected that they sent to the Thunder. That conveys a year from now, if the Sixers aren't one of the 6 worst teams in the NBA.
That could be very bad timing.
Could be. It's also not a great draft too, so that might make me feel a little bit better about it if it does end up coming. 2025 is also not great. 2026 is the next really good
Cooper Flag. Let's go.
Is Cooper Flag, by the way?
That's 2026.
Yeah, we need him.
Okay. By the way, I found out that was fucking born in Newport, Maine.
Yeah,
and just
from your area, right?
Yeah. A quick aside about Newport, Maine. Like, that's from an area of Penobscot County in Maine that is like essentially the Shire. Like it really is like just like the roundest people you've ever seen in your life. I can say this because this is where my mom's family is from. Like my grandparents, like I go visit my grandparents in Plymouth, which is the next town like over from Newport, and like this is like blowing my mind. This is that
athletic like. Crazy basketball savant.
It makes like no sense. It's like
people are gonna be shocked when he like becomes a national guy when people becomes mainstream.
He's like the best white American player since Larry Bird, right? Like
it's so insane to me that like this guy is from like Newport. It's very jarring. Like it literally is the Shire. People have like the little round doors.
I mean, he looks very
like yeah. Genetically, it shouldn't be possible to be from Newport, Maine.
Just look at a picture of Cooper Flag. Like,
yeah,
wow,
yeah,
wow.
I think something. I think something like happened. He was like hidden. Like he was like given to like cousins to like be kept.
He was adopted.
Yeah, he was adopted.
Brought in from another town.
Yeah, exactly. This doesn't make sense. If you told me it was from like, I don't know, York Harbor or something.
It's like an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, Cooper Flag. We're keeping an eye on him. Pride of Maine.
All right, let's talk about this deal that happened on draft night. First move. Obviously, as a Sixers fan, I was happy just to be like, all right, Horford's gone. We got Danny Green. He's a fifth starter for us. Good fit with the team. He was good for the team for about a year and a half. He kind of fell off towards the end, but still an important player on the Sixers. In retrospect, does this deal, if Vasilije comes over and is an NBA player?
No, I'm not. Vasilije a loser.
So you're not worried about Micic coming over?
Yeah, I can't stand that guy.
Because he teased us for like 7 years?
Yes, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Loser.
I can't even blame Morey for including his rights in this. I never thought he was. I mean, it's been a joke for 5 years that he's, oh, yeah, sure, he's coming over. He finally came over and he's like 28, 29. And he was drafted the same time that Joel Embiid was drafted.
2014.
Yeah, it was a hinky second-round pick. So, the one thing that does concern me a little bit about this is that 2025 pick, like you pointed out, especially if things kind of blow up, which is, I think, what Presti was counting on. Yeah. When he made this trade.
And at the time, that was a good bet.
Of course.
Even better bet than now.
Yeah.
Because that was right after 1920.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I see some people doing like revisionist history that they shouldn't have included the first. Like, you had to include the first to get off that Horford contract at the time.
Sure. Yeah. Horford, like, he was like one of the worst contracts in the NBA.
Embiid hated him. He wanted him out of there.
Yeah.
Like you had to. And Danny Green was a really good player for them in 2021.
Also, like, cut some costs too. Like Danny Green's like contract was like significantly smaller than
he only made $15 million a year, I think. Yeah.
Vincent Poirier was a loser too.
Hey, how dare you? Big Vince was huge.
Remember, they traded him at the deadline, not to spoil things, but they traded him at the deadline, and then he badmouthed Doc.
And then he never played in the NBA, and he went back to Europe.
Yeah,
which actually, First off, you'd never badmouth Doc. That's a way to get in Mike's bad.
Although at the time, I probably was fine.
You were like, yeah, fucking Vincent Poirier, you're right.
Yeah. So I think this is a fine deal, almost irregardless of what happened. Or regardless,
I was going to say I would probably view this as neutral just because of the circumstance, even though the value could end up being really good.
You can't blame them for Horford ending up back on the Celtics.
It'd be nice to have Vasilije right now, though.
It wouldn't. He's a loser.
I think this was a slam dunk. I think this was a slam dunk trade at the time that has like fallen back to being a pretty neutral trade.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So,
and I think part of that's just we're getting closer to the first round pick.
Yeah.
All right, so
at the time of the trade, 2025 was like a fake year.
Mm-hmm.
Really, we might all be dead.
We still might not see.
I think that's what I tweeted at the time.
Yeah.
I think I tweeted 2025 is a fake year. Who cares?
Okay, so we're all in agreement that that's a neutral trade, if anything, maybe a slight negative. 2020 draft night, he drafts Tyrese Maxey with the 21st pick, which let's just talk about the Maxey pick. Because first off, all of Sixers Twitter basically was like Maxey, Bane were the two guys they really wanted at the end of this first. Now, some of us, including me, also wanted like Malachi Flynn. Or
I did not want Malachi Flynn. I'm proud to say.
Yeah, Malachi Flynn and who else?
I like someone. I love Tyrell.
I like Xavier Tillman.
Tyrell Terry was tough. Yeah. I had a tweet. Someone dug up an old tweet of mine where I said, I was like, I like Tyrell Terry, but he's like 120 pounds. Like, he's just never going to work in the NBA. Like, he's just too small. And they ended up not drafting him. And then obviously he's had a lot of off the court mental health issues that have kind of derailed his career. That, you know, I just don't think as if he would have, definitely would not have been better on the Sixers. But the reason I bring this up is because everyone wanted Maxey. When he fell to 21, we didn't understand why. Obviously, I think over time that has proven it. But at the same time, the 20 teams in front of the Sixers made the mistake of not taking him, except for like 2 or 3 that got better players. So I got to give him huge credit for just making the pick. Like, it was a no-brainer pick, but there were a lot of guys in that range that turned out not to be NBA players at all.
One thing I have to give Daryl credit for, when in drafts, when there's a no-brainer pick that other teams overthink, he just makes it. I'll give him that. Like, which is it sounds simple, but it is a positive quality because a lot of guys, the Miami Heat took Precious Achiuwa.
Yeah, one pick
before.
The
Celtics took Aaron Nesmith.
Yeah,
I did like Aaron Nesmith.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Chiodo talked about this before. He watched the YouTube and saw him hit.
He was like just splashing threes, and I was like, "Oh my god,
this guy's great!" And I remember trying to explain to people that because I had been I was like reading PD Webb and I was listening to a bunch of draft podcasts, and I remember during that draft cycle being like, "These guys are telling me they think Tyrese Maxey is going to be a better NBA shooter than Aaron Nesmith." And, like, I still didn't really fully understand how, but they were like, look at the free throw numbers, look at the high school numbers, look at the floater tape, and they were completely right. Like, the Sixers walked away with 2 shooters in Isaiah Joe and Tyrese Maxey from this draft that were better shooters than Aaron Nesmith has been so far in his career, and will continue to be, obviously, that the Celtics took with the 14th pick. Like, there are certain guys that in this range, once again, just have not proven to be NBA players yet or are just not NBA players. And it was a weird draft, but it was a good pick. It was a very good pick.
It feels nice to win one over the Celtics.
Yeah, one thing. Yeah, exactly.
One.
So the 34th pick goes to Oklahoma City. They select Theo Maledon, who has not really produced in the NBA. They also traded, we'll talk about the Seth Curry trade now, which was Josh Richardson and the 36th pick in this draft, which the Mavericks selected Tyler Bay with, who is still in the G League. He's not really done anything so far in his career. For Seth Curry, who was at the time on one of the best contracts in the NBA. Funny enough, Seth just re-signed with the Mavericks for the 3rd time recently. And I mean, this was a great night for Morey to start off his career.
This might be the best trade he's made. Seth Curry, off the top of my head.
It's pretty good. I mean, Josh Richardson has just played for, 3 different teams?
Yeah, we played for the Mavs, the Celtics, the Spurs.
5.
Pelicans, right?
Yep, 4. So that's 4. Mavs, Celtics, Spurs, Pelicans, and now he's back on the Heat. So
he'll be amazing.
But he sucked for Dallas, and they ended up having to dump him a year later as an expiring to the Celtics, and then they flipped him for Derek White. So in a way, this trade came back to bite us a little bit. Fucking Spurs helping out the Celtics.
Serious.
Yeah. And I say that, and then that pick swap in 2027 is going to hit like heroin. So
yeah, I was going to say that our number when we're sending the Spurs 3 for 27, that's going to feel good.
Josh Richardson was a sleeper agent that we sent to Boston, and He almost did his job.
He almost did it. He almost did it. Yeah. I got respect for Josh. But so they get Seth. Seth comes here and immediately has by far the best year of his career. Like, was legitimate. I know everyone loves to bring up the fucking. I understand Kevin Huerter killed him in Game 7.
36 points.
He scored 36 points.
And they lost.
He shot like 60% from 3 in the Hawks series.
Oh, what more than that, I think.
Yeah, he shot an insane.
Oh my god.
He was money. We're just gonna relive the Hawks series.
I don't understand. Jesus Christ.
So,
oh my god.
You guys also got a trade exception out of that deal? That's pretty sick.
We never have used a trade exception under Morey. We got a trade exception from the Horford deal and from the Richardson deal, and we didn't use either. That's one of the things that really frustrates me.
Seth averaged 21 a game in the Hawks series on 60% from 3 on 7.5 attempts.
Oh my god. My god. That's like impossible to lose a series.
He was
like
so
that.
Good offensively. Like he was our main shot creator because Ben was broken. Tobias would just disappear for quarters at a time. And Seth and Embiid were the only ones we could run offense through. And the dribble handoff was like unbeatable.
He scored 30 in Game 5 of the Wizards series too. The closeout game.
And that was a game that Embiid didn't even play in. That was like the run in.
Obviously.
Yeah. He never
Embiid never plays in the closeout game in the first round.
Yeah. And the run and gun, that was the run and gun game where they just like the whole game they were just, it was like the final score was like what, like 125
129 112.
Yeah, 129 112. It was great. They literally just decided to give up on defense. But so
28 from Tobias.
So this trade turns out, like you said, Mike, this might have been his best trade. He was crushing draft night. We were all very, very, very excited after this. And then a little bit later after this, Isaiah Joe is the 49th pick overall. Fantastic value. Awesome pick.
He gets a negative here.
So that's the thing. Let's talk about the Isaiah Joe thing for a second, because this is something that I've brought up with Morey where I feel like one of the more frustrating parts of his tenure as Sixers GM, despite making some really, really good moves, is the fact that he's always been known as like, I'm the margins guy. I'm going to find talent on the margins. I'm going to bring him in. We're going to get a guy for nothing, and he's going to turn into a rotation player, and he'll fit great with the team and work out and blah, blah, blah. But then there's this the neurodivergence of it all, where Daryl just gets like bored, I guess, and is like, all right, I'm gonna let this guy walk a year early before his restricted free agency to save money and walk into the season with 14 players on the team and then say, no, we're doing it for flexibility. Don't judge the team now. And then later in the season, you end up signing Dwayne Dedman on a prorated vets minimum to save money on the tax. And honestly, they dodged the tax fully because of that. Like, that's where it's so frustrating to me, where it's like, I want to give you credit for nailing this draft with getting a near all-star with the 21st pick, amazing value. Getting a legit rotation player at 49, amazing value. And also getting a legit rotation player at pick 58. But, like, this is an amazing draft that you just gave up on a guy who we all knew was good and fit amazingly with the team and provided an exact need for what they needed, and just letting him walk because were you bored? Like, what was the point of that? Like this is the real first strike for Morey for me. This is when I started to lose faith a little bit. Not
filling a roster spot. It's just an empty roster spot. It's not
we're going to do it again.
Yeah. Just unbelievable. Yeah, I don't get it. But overall, I mean, that was still a great night for him.
Does the defense have anything to say about Isaiah Joe?
I mean, look, here's the thing. If you are Daryl Morey, okay, what is the most important thing to you? It is keeping your stars happy. What do you need to bring friends into the fold in Philadelphia? You need a place for them to go. You need a roster spot, so to speak.
Yes.
Now, is it Daryl's fault that James Harden and Joel Embiid have no friends?
Embiid does have a friend. He is Justin Anderson.
Who's on here.
And he doesn't even have enough sway to get Justin Anderson.
He's on here. He got him a training camp deal.
And he doesn't even have enough sway to get Justin Anderson on the empty roster spot, dude. Come on.
So,
not Daryl's fault. That's Embiid.
For everybody, let's go.
Isaiah Joe. I mean, in all honesty, like, it's a fun meme to say that Isaiah Joe is like a good player. Would Isaiah Joe, when the lights are bright, is Isaiah Joe really Jared Allen proof? Let's say, like, is he really helping the Boston Celtics? Like,
he was bad in the 2 play-in games. I will say that much. But we also have never seen him in a playoff game.
I mean, we probably overrate like Isaiah Joe.
Sure, we do.
Yeah, but like, just to be clear, the point. That's not the point.
The point is the margin moves. Yeah. Is that he always crushes these margin moves. He gets the talent, and then he ends up wasting it in some capacity. Where, like, I feel like up until the Isaiah Joe move, I was pretty much on board with everything he did.
And like he's Isaiah Joe's a guy that you could eventually be like a valuable like throw in a trade, like if you're trying to make a trade.
So I think what we're really hashing out here, though, is that because what Daryl's he has crushed the margin moves. It's just, what is the real value in the margin moves? You know, I think that's more what we're learning here. You know, like, does a 14th or 15th guy on a roster spot ever really matter? Because you've got to jump 5 guys in the rotation to be important. You know, like, that's the issue. So like, Now, in this iteration of the Sixers, that might actually matter because guys 8 to 12 all went out the door. Yeah. So,
I mean, like, Isaiah Joe would have been in the playoff rotation last year.
You think?
Would he? I don't know if he would have been. He would have been. Yeah, Doc would have. He should. A normal coach probably plays. Okay, I'll say this much. As much shit as we give Doc, and I know we joke that we love Doc, but as much shit as we give Doc, the one thing that Doc will do is that if the team is just like, the team just is throwing up all over itself like they were offensively in Game 6 and they couldn't get anything doing, he would just throw a guy out there. And like he did this with Shake
Milton in Game 7.
Yeah, he did it with Daniel House in the Celtics series this past year.
Game 7 did not work.
Game 5, he probably would have thrown in Isaiah Joe at some point if he were still on the team.
Yeah.
Now, this is what this might be more like.
But also, Isaiah Joe wouldn't have been as good if he didn't have a whole year of a rotation minute.
Agreed, but also I just want to say that, like, people say like, oh, DeAnthony Melton missed all those threes, Isaiah Joe would have hit them. Sure, that's possible.
Not better than Melton.
But what I was going to say was like, but would he have been able to survive defensively in the same way that DeAnthony Melton would?
When I say would have been a playoff rotation, he would have been like 6 to 8 minutes. Like,
sure,
yeah.
But I just want to say that one of the things that frustrates me about like his hyper fixation on the big moves can sometimes hurt the little moves, where like you're so focused on making, for example, the Ben trade, that you make 2 signings the entire offseason that we'll talk about in a little bit. Now it's the Harden move, and you let everyone go and you bring in 2 guys that are really going to have a chance at playing, fill up the back end of the roster with agent favors with Philip Petrusev and Montrezl Harrell. And that's where when I talk about this stuff, like, I think the Isaiah Joe thing was probably more agent favors than anything else. Like, I think that the Isaiah Joe, his agent was probably like, look, if you're not going to play him, cut him. Look for a trade, cut him, whatever. And they said, well, look, we're not going to piss off like the agent over some guy that's probably going to be our 12th man. Like, who cares, really? And just let him go. But at the same time, like, part of me is like, that's Doc's fault because Doc just never really gave Isaiah Joe a legit chance. And another part of me is like, I don't know, the GM of the team should probably be able to go to the coach and be like, you got to fucking play this guy. Like, we need a shooter off the bench, and you're not playing this guy. Like,
yeah, I think the Isaiah Joe thing is more emblematic of a bigger issue. It's not just the Isaiah Joe thing. If it was just the Isaiah Joe thing and there was like, people obviously wouldn't make, that's what sometimes people are like, all these people are crying over Isaiah Joe. It's not just Isaiah Joe.
It's like you said, it's a microcosm for a bigger issue with the Sixers roster management for honestly the past 7 years, where they just don't really care about stuff on the margins.
So these people don't read Shakespeare. They don't understand that Isaiah Joe is a symbol, a metaphor for the existential dread, the yawp of a Sixers fan crying out for release from the hell that Daryl Morey has imprisoned them in.
Wait, aren't you the defense?
Well, so here's the thing. Like, what are we prosecuting Daryl Morey for? Because Daryl Morey has presented more hope than either the Colangelo or the
I had much more
collaborative
Colangelo area.
You
No
had more
way.
hope during the
Yes.
Colangelo era.
Yes, you didn't.
Okay, so I had more
I'm not
hope,
saying it was because of Colangelo.
but it wasn't because of Colangelo. He didn't
That's
make
what
any
I'm saying.
moves.
I didn't. No, I don't mean it like that.
Yeah.
I don't really have hope for Morey right now.
Well, this is what I'm saying. You have the fake hope of you have the fake hope of expert con man Sam Hinkie. I know you can't tell me to shut up.
Sam's
so
gonna
you
be
have
assassinated.
Yeah, then you have Colangelo, who is like who understands the next steps the franchise need to have, but is also just bad at his job.
Yeah.
So he's like stomping out the hope, and then you have the Elton Brand regime, which represents like a kind of a consecration, holy consecration of the despair.
It was just that was just an acid trip of a front office.
He oversaw the flip of the hope to the despair, where everyone's like looking.
I don't think
around
Elton Brand really had much power.
Yeah, it was the
people
collapse of the front office.
I feel bad for Elton. People blame him, and it was like
he was the captain. He was the captain of the ship that was already on a course. They were circling the drain. This is the Elton was handed the captainship 15 minutes after they hit the iceberg.
Yeah, exactly.
So now Daryl has inherited the pieces of this metaphorical ship in which despair abounds, and we're dinging him for presenting more hope out of a despairing situation because I
have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you judge people based on the company they keep?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading the defense. I don't. I've never had.
I was going to say, Daryl Morey was the one who hired Sam Hinkie and was also close friends with him. And also, if you want to say that he's a con man, then guilty by association, brother.
Okay. Right. Well, but see that the problem with Sam Hinkie is that he was a con man for the fans. You need to be a con man to your owners, which is what Daryl Morey understands.
Daryl's very good at it.
Yeah, you need to con the owners. He
talks about it himself. It's part of his job is convincing the owners to do things.
Yeah.
And he just won't push. He seemingly either is unable to push back or unwilling to push back against some of the things that ownership might be. But if that's part of your job description, then I'm going to judge you based on that.
Sam Hinkie actually got conned by his owners, but we were like, yeah. If you run like a sub. If you run a sub salary floor thing, that's awesome. We love that. Oh, you guys don't like that at the league? Well, I guess we have to fire Sam Hinkie. Sorry, we didn't know they'd throw a fit about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. We had no idea.
We had no idea. Oh
yeah.
no. So
happened to hire the president's son.
Anyway, Daryl's innocent. Once again, erroneous.
Well, this 2020 draft so far,
he killed this.
Absolutely crushed it. This was his magnum opus of Sixers president of basketball operationing.
It's his MCW moment.
It's MCW moment. His Tyreek Evans moment.
Daryl, if you're listening, if you bring back MCW, I forgive you.
Start the process again. Let's go. Trade Embiid for Franz. Parody.
Yes.
Actually, maybe. No. Okay, so hold on. So November 19th, 2022 is signed Dakota Mathias.
So I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts on this one. He won us a game. He did win us a game.
He did win us a game against the Miami Heat, which is very important to me.
Yes.
Personally. And Ben Simmons was terrible in that game. And we all knew that Ben was cooked. Dwight Howard signed as a free agent. Disaster. Dwight was terrible. I mean, Dwight had moments. What's that?
I was a Dwight guy during the season.
Dwight had his moments in the regular season, and it's not his fault that he couldn't play with Ben Simmons at all. But Dwight was overall at that point was a pretty big. They needed
to get another option at the deadline.
And as we'll get to, they traded Zaire Smith for Tony Bradley, which was a great trade because
he was a good trade, but Tony Bradley sucks. Just saying.
Tony Bradley wasn't good, but he was also a playable backup center.
I just could never think Tony Bradley
wasn't playing.
When they traded Tony Bradley at the deadline and in the playoffs, people were like, we traded Tony Bradley would have sucked in the playoffs.
So didn't they trade Tony Bradley and 2 second-round picks?
4 seconds.
Oh, we're going to get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to that. It's more than
so. This is all nothing. This is all just they signed their draft picks and a bunch of guys who didn't make the team.
Signed Justin Tucker. Rajon Tucker. I love
Rajon Tucker, there's nothing there either. Part of a 3-team trade, the Sixers traded at the deadline in March. This is when they didn't trade for Kyle Lowry, and they decided to go with George Hill instead. So they traded.
God, I forgot George Hill was on the Sixers.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Wasn't that what you were about to say?
Yes. They traded Tony Bradley and 1, 2. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Oh,
how many seconds did they trade?
And now we don't have
3,
any seconds.
4.
No, I think
was it 4 seconds?
I think it was.
Yeah.
It was 4. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and then they had like a weird convoluted swap, which probably won't convey. So there's 4 seconds in this trade. So they traded Tony Bradley and 4 seconds.
God, we don't have our 2025 and 2026 seconds.
No.
Would want those.
We need them.
Something.
They're currency now. They're real. The second round picks are largely worthless, but now they might have value again because everyone already gave up their first round picks. As the Phoenix Suns are teaching us with their. Well, can we do a little aside about what the fucking Phoenix Suns are doing? I know this is in the middle of Slop Trial, but what are they doing, dude? Sam, are you following? Like you're more like in tune with the pick sicko shit. Why are they doing all these trades?
I like don't totally understand because some of it is like they're replenishing the chest and some like it's a lot of like bifurcations like you know what I'm saying of them like kind of like what they did like with the swaps where they're like technically trading the swap for like another swap where they get like a lower like they might
I just want to give an example for anyone who doesn't understand what Sam is saying.
Yeah.
The Washington Wizards and the Phoenix Suns swap their picks, okay? So they own Washington's they own the lower of the 2 picks between Washington and Phoenix. They then swapped that to Orlando to get back 3 second-round picks that, by the way, are all dog shit second-round picks that are even have some protections on them so that they basically can't even have the chance to be good second-round picks. And in the middle of that, you essentially have a situation where, like, for example, if Orlando is really good in 2 years, which is a pretty good bet to make. I think Orlando's going to be good in 2 to 3 years. If they're really good and Phoenix and Washington are both really bad, that means that Orlando is going to end up getting probably a lottery pick out of this swap. And all they had to do was give up 2 seconds that basically mean nothing and a heavily protected second from another team. And like, that's a horrible business move. Like it's a bad risk to take if you're the Suns. Like, yes, maybe it never conveys and they just got second round picks for free. But also if it does convey, you're talking about like even like what we just saw with the Rockets and the Clippers in this past draft, where the Clippers sent for a half a season, not even half a season of Eric Gordon. They went from pick 30 to pick 20. Houston jumped up from 30 to 20, and the Clippers went back to 30. And Houston just got Cam Whitmore with it. Like, I just don't understand how.
It's like gambling, like the speculative nature of like what the Suns are doing is like if a loved one was behaving this way with their assets, you would like check them into a 12-step program.
Sure.
Or like some sort of like Gamblers Anonymous or something like that. And what's like a little bit more confusing to me is like they're ostensibly doing this just to have some currency, like a little bit more liquidity. Like a little bit more of like some concrete stuff that they're in control of.
Sure.
The stuff that they're in control of are like top 55 protected second round picks that are essentially nothing, but they are still like liquid. That they don't have the protections because of the Stepien rule. You need to have somewhere on your books. You need to have a first round pick every 2 years. So that is a constraint, and they're just trying to get some liquidity. But the thing is, they've got 15 guys on their roster. And they actually did pretty well in the offseason.
They also can't aggregate salary in trades.
Yeah.
So, unless they're trading DeAndre Ayton or using the trade exceptions that they just got for Dario Saric or campaign, they can't even make trades. So what are the second round picks? They have no value.
I think that's like what it's for, is for like second round. Like it's for like TPE, like shenanigans to like, because you have to be able to send something back. And the problem is the Phoenix Suns have literally fucking nothing. Like literally nothing. So like it's a genuine problem for them when they want to make a transaction where you're getting someone essentially for free. All sides have to touch in a trade, so to speak.
Yes.
So somebody has to get something. That is where the top 55 protected second-round picks come from, because somebody needs to get something, but that's the top 55 protected pick essentially is a signal that says we're doing this for free. However, we have to send them something back, so here's what it is. And I think that is what the Suns are doing, is they're trying to have ammo for these like really bottom barrel fucking moves, so they actually have something to send back.
Do me a favor, find a good player in the NBA that makes like $5 to $6 million. There's like 10 of them.
Less than
with the
all
new
of those
minimum,
guys are very, very valuable.
Yeah,
and all
like
of those
that's the
guys
thing.
are very valuable.
No one's like the best player you're going to get is like Furkan Korkmaz, who is not as good as Campaign.
Guys drafted like 17 make more than that now in the NBA. That's not true, but it's like something like that.
Yeah, it's like like the 12th pick in the draft or whatever. And like the vets minimum is $3 million now almost for older vets. It starts at like 2.5. Like you're not going to get good players. Like this strategy just makes no sense in my brain, and I needed to talk about it for a little bit. So
yeah, I mean, that is what I think that's what they're doing, but it's just, it's alarming for like Suns fans. And this is kind of funny because I'm toying with the idea of picking them to win the title next year, because
they're a very good team. Like they have 3 of the best players in the NBA, 2 that are like top whatever. And I understand the point of going in, but this is like, you're guaranteeing the Phoenix Suns are going to be the worst team in basketball for a decade after this, essentially.
Yeah. Here's like the type of guys that are available for that amount of money, by the way. I'm just going to run through a quick list of some of the guys that are available here that aren't on rookie scale contracts. Kenrich Williams.
Good player, but like fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dean Wade. Aaron Nesmith is on a rookie contract. Most of these guys are on rookie contracts. Furkan Korkmaz, I don't believe, is still on a rookie contract.
We just talked about him.
He's not on a rookie contract.
It's a second deal.
4th contract.
Second contract. Jalen Smith, a return possibly. Shake Milton, one of who was
Shake's
wrong.
A great player.
It's actually
gotten a better contract than that. Yeah.
All right, so this is all gearing up for the big Shake Milton to Phoenix trade.
Yeah, exactly.
I would definitely. Phoenix gets that. It's game over.
Yeah.
Let's go. Hooper brought in another one. But no, like I just don't get what they're doing. And by the way,
I get it, but I just like, damn, you guys are really fucked, huh?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, yes, maybe the picks never convey, but I just don't think that the upside is not worth the downside at all.
Well, but I'm just saying that is. This is perfectly in line with what management. I get it, because you're just saying, oh, do literally whatever you can to make this team as good as possible. But the risk is like insane. This is like, it's like going to the roulette table and like putting down like to win 50 cents. You're like, okay, if it comes up the other color, I get shot in the head. Let's go. Like, yeah, like it's just not good risk management. Yeah,
Russian roulette with craps.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess my last thing I want to say on this is, if you're a team and you're trading a star, whether it's the Sixers or the Blazers or another team, trying to get one of those Phoenix picks that's like 6 years out would be my number one priority if I'm trading a star.
For sure.
I would be like, how can I get one of those picks? Because in 2028 or 2029 or whatever, they're going to be the worst team in the NBA. Like, once again, you're pushing in all your chips. I respect that. I understand why you're doing it. You have Devin Booker entering his prime, and you want to maximize that with an aging Kevin Durant, and you just got Bradley Beal and stuff. But, like, if I am a team out there, I'm salivating over the chance of getting one of those picks from the Nets if they end up trading for a star sometime in the next few years.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, let's get back to the pod.
Mm-hmm.
So this trade is like a nothing trade to me, really. I know everyone kind of throws fits over the second round picks, and I know it would be nice to have them right now.
It would be really nice.
And the fact that George Hill only played like 10 games for the Sixers.
He was so bad.
I know, and he was completely washed during those moments. It really is tough to sit with and say it was a good value trade for the Sixers. It obviously was not. But also, like, they didn't give up anything. If anything, I feel like this is another trade that was just, like, prioritizing the flexibility thing that they just never take advantage of. Like, they always prioritize flexibility by getting a guy that has a non-guarantee after this season that
didn't use.
What's that?
They just cut George Hill. I forgot he had a non-guarantee next year.
Yeah, they cut him. He had a $1 million guarantee on his contract the next season, so they just cut him. And he ended up going back to the Bucks, funny enough, and he was, like, passable for them. Like, he was, like, a rotation guard.
God.
But it is just, like, this once again might be a microcosm of some of the moves that Morey has made here, which is, like, it's not the big fish. It's the let's take the safer route. Let's be conservative. And the upside is just so much lower. And like, I guess the only thing you can say is like, if the Raptors really would not have traded Kyle Lowry without giving up Maxey, obviously in retrospect, it would have been insane to trade Maxey for Kyle Lowry. And he made the right bet in that regard. But do we think that they could have gotten him without, like, I know we like to make fun of Masai, but there actually isn't a legit report out there that he was ever available in the trade. It was Thibault. It was Thibault and Danny Green for salary that were rumored to be going there. And then we get back Kyle Lowry. Yeah. And that would have made this, they probably would have won the Hawks series, but like.
Yeah, but some Raptors people have said that it had to do with like the extension, that Lowry wanted a guarantee on an extension and the Sixers wouldn't give it to him, which is a smart move.
Yeah.
But I'll give Daryl the benefit of the doubt on the Lowry thing.
All right. So we're still giving Daryl benefit of the doubt here.
Maybe just because Toronto's involved, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. By the way, we barely talked about Paul Reed. 58th pick in the draft to get a backup center that is like legit a rotation player is pretty incredible. And now he's gotten a second contract with the team. Yeah. That was a really, really great pick. Can't really fault him for that one.
Yeah. I was really excited about Mason Jones.
Mason Jones signed to a 2-way contract.
Really excited about him.
Nothing ever happened. He's still in the G League.
He was on the Lakers briefly.
Yeah, he's him though. Mason Jones. Yeah. Arkansas to Philly connection. Once again, another guy. Anthony Tolliver was our solution as the stretch five. He was like a dead guy.
We've got it.
The funniest thing, they didn't cut him until like the day before camp the next year.
Yeah.
It's like Anthony, people realize Anthony Tolliver is still on the team, right?
Well, do you know why they did that, right? Because they gave him that second year that was like guaranteed up to a certain date in case they needed to use him for trades. And then they didn't make any trades.
Yeah, because they were waiting on the Ben thing.
Yes. Which once again was the speed, the road bump, like the block in the road where it's just like he's not willing to make smaller moves if there's a big move that's standing in the way. And every move he's made other moves, there has not been that big move standing in the way. He'll just do the minimum signings if he has to trade Harden or Simmons because he cares so much about the big moves.
Mom, look, Dwayne Dedman. Can we get it? Can we get it? No, we've got Dwayne Dedman at home.
Anthony Tolliver?
2021, yeah.
Honestly, not a bit. We all wanted to sign Dwayne Dedman because Dwayne Dedman had a good season like a year before that.
He was good in Miami.
And then he was like a playable backup center. And we were like, sign Dwayne Dedman. He's literally available for free. And then he signed in Miami and was like actually somewhat decent for them that year, just that year. And we got Tolliver, who literally never played. And that was
how bad you have to be to be like 35 years old and a vet and Doc to not play you.
I think I literally have a tweet and I said, we have found the one vet that Doc will not play. Like he was that bad. Like he was like Doc was like, this guy's a little bit too washed for me. Jesus Christ. So yeah, Anthony Tolliver, whatever, minimum signing, who cares? But like at the same time, still like just conservative, like, we'll find someone on the market. Don't worry about that. Should worry about it a little bit. when you don't have a backup center because you just did not prioritize it at all. Okay, 2021 selected Jaden Springer, which once again, Mike, you talked about it earlier. Kind of the no-brainer pick, even though you would pick Herb Jones here.
I would have taken Herb Jones or Io the Sumo, but it was fine.
You liked Io in that draft?
Oh, I loved Io.
Oh, okay. I knew you liked Herb Jones.
I liked Herb. Herb was my guy. Herb was number one. Io was number two.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then
I also love Jared Butler.
I did like Jared Butler a lot in that draft. Yeah. Who I still believe in, by the way. Jared Butler comeback season.
Yes.
It's not done yet, folks.
No, I forgot he existed, but I did.
He's in the G League.
Oh, he's a free agent.
Yeah. Daryl, if you're listening, Jared Butler, come on. OKC signed him for half a season. He hasn't really played in the NBA, but he might be the issue to our problems. The next pick, Philip Petrusev.
Oh boy.
50th pick of the draft.
And then I know we're not holding 50th picks in the draft against Daryl Morey.
Yes, we are.
We're not, but hold on. Let's hear me out.
This is sick.
There's some good players in those 50s, I'll tell you.
No, there really wasn't anyone that was good.
I mean, the only good one was Charles Bassey, who he
Jericho Sims.
Jericho Sims. Okay, I don't know. Jericho Sims.
By the way, we traded the Jericho Sims pick.
We did to OKC for George Hill.
Never get over that.
I'll never get over trading the Jericho Sims pick.
You got some good undrafted players.
Hold on. The real crime of this was that they worked out Austin Reeves and then they didn't draft him because they probably didn't guarantee him.
Wait, Austin Reeves was 21? Oh my God.
Okay, hold on. We worked out Austin Reeves the week of the draft.
Oh.
And I was like, who is this guy? And then someone was like, literally texted me and said, he's like the white Devin Booker. And I laughed.
I liked Austin Reeves at Oklahoma, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But he was at Wichita. We talked about him a little bit before. He was like a shooter on another team. Like he was a shooter at Wichita State, I think. And then he transferred and became like, he was a pick and roll guy for Oklahoma. And the Sixers worked him out. And I looked him up and I was like, okay, I guess I'd be fine with taking him. So when we bought a pick on this draft night, I was like, oh, we're taking that white kid from Oklahoma.
Oh, man. And
we didn't take him. And I honestly think it was because we didn't guarantee him a contract. Because we took Philip Petrusev because we could put it on the back burner, let him stay overseas for 2 years, and we gave Bassey the contract. And Bassey turned out to be a good pick. He's a backup center, but like with the 53rd pick of the draft, sure. Once again,
July 30th, 2021, 12:14 a.m. I take Ajayi or Reeves. I guess that was one of those picks.
Joel Ajayi.
Joel Ajayi.
Yeah, he's not a guy, but I also liked him in that draft.
I did say I'd take Reeves, though.
Yeah.
There
you go.
By the way, I figured out why Daryl why I'm flipping on Daryl here, because also available at the Petrusev pick was Sandro Mamu.
There you go. Yeah. Even the defense can't stand
Mamu. Yeah, you could have had Mamu. Yeah,
that guy sucks.
Oh, come on.
I just remember him from Seton Hall. He sucked at Seton Hall.
Yeah. Me and Chiodo are switching seats in the courtroom right now. Trade out.
All right. So 2021 offseason, he doesn't do the Ben Simmons trade, which once again, from a transactional standpoint, I actually think most of these moves so far are pretty good. Like he's gotten value out of draft picks, even though I wanted Jaden Springer at the time. He was the pick I wanted. So I can't sit here and be like, I would have taken Herb Jones like Mike did. Like I wanted Jaden Springer. I thought that he had the most upside, and he still could turn out to be an NBA player. But
I was happy with the Springer pick. But
yeah. Sure.
And what's it like for your GM to make the picks that you want them to make? That is like
relax. All right, come on. You're
never happened. The one time it happened was Grant Williams, and then everybody
what's it like to get to these conference finals? All right, come on.
All right, and also to be fair, the one time Sam didn't like the pick, it turned out to be Jason Tatum.
No, I didn't like. There were a lot of picks I didn't like.
Jaylen Brown. I didn't like Jaylen Brown either.
I wanted Jamal Murray, which
you did. Which that's defensible.
I didn't like Jason Tatum, but I also wanted.
I have some tweets from like June 19, 2017, making fun of the Celtics for not taking Josh Jackson.
Yeah.
How could you?
Yeah. I thought The Kelly Olynyk draft. I don't even remember who I wanted. Terry Rozier. I almost had a conniption. I was like so drunk that night, but I did not want Terry.
I was thinking about this because remember in 2016,
I would have loved Terry Rozier if the Sixers drafted him.
Remember in 2016, the Sixers were like, there was this rumor they were trying to trade Nerlens and they're 24 and 26 for them. It was for Chris Dunn, but they could have taken Jamal.
Was Chris Dunn a smokescreen, though? Because remember, they tried to trade up again in the 2018 draft, and everyone said they wanted Michael Porter Jr. And then they did the Sixers. I'm talking about the Sixers. They had the 10th pick, and they were like, they're going to trade up to get Michael Porter Jr., but that was obviously bullshit because they didn't even take Michael Porter Jr.
Didn't they try to trade it for Luka, I think.
That was what the rumor was, yeah. But also, like, I don't know. It's like Daryl on the radio today.
Yeah, we
were going to trade up for Cam Whitmore, and it's like, really?
What would they have been able to trade for Cam Whitmore?
What would they have been able to trade up for Cam Whitmore? It
would have had to have been a player.
It would have had to been like Springer, like Melton, like who?
I'm gonna trade Melton for Cam Whitmore.
Like, and also like I like Cam Whitmore. I had him 7th on my board, but like Cam Whitmore is not going to help the Sixers in the next 2 years. Like I don't even know if I would have been like, even though the value is crazy, I would have been like, what are we doing? Like that's a job security pick. Is what I'm trying to say.
If they traded Melton for Cam Whitmore, I would have lost my mind.
Yeah, I would have been like, what? Like Melton was an important rotation player for us last year. Cam Whitmore's 18 years old. But once again, as I said, if that were a reality, that's a job security, look at our future type pick. Like, look at what we have coming down the pipeline. You should give me an extension type thing. So, yeah. And it's easy for him to say that after he wins Summer League MVP.
Going to have to start looking at his job security pretty soon. He's got 2 years left.
I know. That's what I think the cap space plan is really about.
Yeah, that's getting kind of underplayed. Like, at this time next year, they're going to have to make a decision, probably.
And I think that's why he's doing the cap space plan. Because he's going to look, we're going to have cap space, we're going to have flexibility, we're going to have a max slot. Like, just give me a chance here. And then if he nails it, then he can get the extension next offseason.
He's so checked out.
He's given up. Okay, so good draft selections except for Filip Petrusev, who I still don't understand why they gave a contract this year. I don't think he's good at all. He's like 24. He didn't dominate in Summer League. Like, I just don't get that. Yeah. Once again, agent favors. It was only half guaranteed, but like the team isn't going to not pay. A half guaranteed contract isn't like, it's not like last year with Trevlin Queen, who they gave $300,000 guaranteed to.
I also like, I don't, the agent favors thing, like this is gonna sound like Bill to me. Like when is an agent ever done a favor for a team?
It doesn't.
It's
just an excuse to be lazy, in my opinion.
Yeah,
we didn't want to scout and find another guy, so we just were like, whatever. It's the 15th spot on the roster.
Look, it's a favor to the agent, and that's gonna come back because if I. Like it's weird how that never comes out because like if I were a guy and I'm picking up the paper and it was like my agent was like, oh yeah, and he signed his guy with this team because he owed the team a favor, I'd be like, hey, what the fuck, man? I could have got more money. Like, are you serious? It's like, so it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's just like literally so your job is like less uncomfy.
And teams overpromise too. Like the Sixers have done this with the Trez. Like, oh, all right, Trez, if you opt out of your contract and you don't get a contract somewhere else, we'll bring you back. And it's like, oh, now we have fucking 5 centers.
I forgot they re-signed Trez, so they officially announced it today. Then it hit me again. It's like they re-signed Trez twice.
A second Trez signing has hit the towers.
That's exactly what it felt like, dude. Yeah. It was brutal. I fell to my knees.
It felt to my knees when they did that. God,
okay,
Shaq Harrison. Wow.
All right, so the one thing I will say is that Daryl has been aggressive with his two-way signings.
I actually like that. That's the right way to play it.
I like Shaq Harrison.
He might be a little bit too much with the ADHD where he lets guys go too early on there, like he did with Champagny, who's turned out to be like probably a rotation player for the Spurs. But right now, this offseason, they finish up the draft. They sign Andre Drummond to the vet minimum. Once again, he's been good with the backup center on the vet minimum in general, I guess.
Good signing.
Dwight was playable in the regular season. Andre Drummond was a great signing that they ended up trading later, but they signed George Niang, who drove me insane, but was a very, very good value signing. They signed Danny Green to come back for 1 year and then traded him a year later. Totally fine. Furkan Korkmaz. So they signed Korkmaz to again after he already had requested a trade. They gave him a 3-year, $15 million deal. And was it his third contract? Did they give him a minimum?
He was drafted in 16, came over in 17. He requested a trade in 18-19, I believe.
Yeah, and then he broke out the next year.
Because they declined his option, remember?
Yeah.
And then he re-signed after the year, despite requesting a trade.
Yeah, for a veteran's minimum. And then a year later, because he had a good year, because he shot well during the fake season where we had no fans, they ended up signing him to a contract that it was 5 years, $15 million, and seemingly
3 years.
Do they even try? Yeah, I'm sorry, 3 years, $15 million. Do they even try to trade him?
No, I cannot believe he's still a Sixer. Like
it's incredible. Like, are they going to trade him as an expiring or just let him expire?
It blows my mind that he's still a Sixer.
He's got to be like, I'm wasting my life and my youth.
He's actually still like 25, which is
he's 26. But yeah,
okay,
I think he's 26. The fact that he is still that young. He was drafted in 2016.
He's turning 26 next week. He was in the Simmons draft. He was drafted 6th. Yeah.
He's 25 still.
He's been on the Sixers. Next year's going to be like his 8th year.
This is literally the longest tenured Sixer except for Joel Embiid.
He might outlast Embiid at this rate.
They're trading Embiid before the deadline. Korkmaz is still on the team. Like, it should have been me.
You realize how long he's been on the Sixers? Like 2017. He's been on the Sixers since before the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Oh my god!
Like,
he's been on the Sixers since Trump's first full year in office?
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah,
when did he
2017.
July 4th, 2017.
Yeah. Oh, man. We used to be a great country.
Furk also, well, this is the end of the line for him. I'm putting
Kyrie was on the Cavs.
Yeah. I'm putting the official Sheehan curse on Furk for getting on my mustache game. I don't like it when guys more handsome than me try to do mustache. This is an ugly guys only thing. We need this to tie everything together.
Exactly.
Furk, you are cursed. You are out of here.
It's like why Harden has a big beard.
I promise. Furk is going to go somewhere and be good.
Oh,
Spurs. No. I think he's going to the Spurs.
I've always thought he was a Grizzlies,
Kings,
but
Grizzlies.
It's a West team. It's a West team for sure.
Korkmaz is gonna get traded.
I thought this for like 5 years, and he's never gotten traded. So
I know he's gonna thrive somewhere else though. Once Daryl finally lets him go. Grant Riller, yeah.
I was excited about Grant Riller. I've been excited about.
I loved him in the draft too.
Every 2A guy they've signed, I've been like, oh my god,
let's go, and then they never do anything.
Miles Powell, oh my god, I was so excited for Miles Powell.
I forgot about Miles Powell.
I can't believe you guys let yourself get tricked like this. Anyway, Jordan Walsh is going to be a beast for the Celtics. I'm so excited.
He's going to be an all-star.
He
looks like Andre Iguodala.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He actually probably will be pretty solid.
Because he's on the Celtics, so he'll be fine.
I don't know. We'll see. We will see.
Recent drafting history hasn't been great for the Celtics, but they also just haven't really made the pick.
But it just works out for them.
Yeah. It will work out. Okay, so now we just got a bunch of random ones. Charlie Brown,
COVID 10 days.
COVID 10 days. Yeah, we had Miles Powell. We had Tyler Johnson do a 10 day.
I'm knocking Daryl major points for not signing like a 40-year-old during this time.
Like Joe Johnson.
Yeah, like all these teams were signing like these fun 40-year-olds, and we were signing Tyler Johnson and Braxton Key.
Tyler Johnson was him for 2 games, though. I was like, this guy.
You know how much fun it would have been to sign like Allen Iverson for 10 days? That would have been awesome. They should do that now. They should use their last roster spot on Iverson.
Melo. We need Melo.
We do need Melo. I can't believe Melo was never a Sixer. I know. I thought for sure he would be a Sixer.
All we had was shitty Melo and Tobias.
You guys should sign the Sandman. Adam Sandler. He's dropping dimes. Yeah. Hustle. Yeah. Like
we should sign Hernan Gomez, let's be honest. Bo Cruz.
Oh yeah, Juancho. Yeah.
The fact that we haven't signed we already had Willie.
I know, that's why I don't want him.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the big trade. This is where you could go either direction with this, obviously. Oh, wow. I didn't realize that the Sixers pick that ended up being Bryce Sensabaugh, who I really liked in the draft. I didn't know that. Okay, so they traded Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, Ben Simmons, and a 2023 first round. A fucking almost a year after Ben Simmons requested trade, Slopfest 2022, how this whole thing started. A 2027 first, which is later, obviously has not been selected, but it is top 8 protected.
Yeah, that's important.
That's actually really important because, man,
How
if
does
it
it
was
turn
like
into
top
cash?
3 protected.
How does
What's
it
that?
turn into cash?
Hold on, wait for it.
Turn into cash.
To the Brooklyn Nets for James Harden and Paul Millsap. I forgot Paul Millsap was in that trade. Philadelphia also received a trade exception, which they didn't use. It was originally a 2022 pick that they deferred to 2023, and then they traded for Royce O'Neal. They did a swap with them for Royce O'Neal, and that was deferred to the 2027 first, which is top 8 protected, and could turn into cash in 2029. So basically, if that pick doesn't convey in 2027 and 2028, that becomes cash the following year. So if the Sixers are really bad those 2 years, then they basically give up. They don't give up anything. But if they're just like kind of bad, then they're probably giving up like a lottery pick for the Harden trade in 4 years from now. Still,
we'll have Cooper Flag at that point.
Yeah, fine. True. That's a good point. We won't have anyone to team with Cooper Flag though. I don't know. I gotta look up some 2027 prospects. Hold on.
Yeah, I'll go look that up. I'm gonna look that
up. Baby Gronk. Who's the NBA Baby Gronk? We need our own version of Baby Gronk.
This is a rough class.
Just based on the Google search.
Based on the names. AJ Diven-Sa.
Oh yeah, he's like the next Tatum.
Not with that name.
So he's bad.
Yeah, not with that name. He's not the next Tatum. Well, Tyron Stokes, Elijah Arenas, okay. Caleb Gaskins, good name. Elijah, okay. We've got something to work with here.
Now, I've heard very good things about that 2027. The guy who's like the number one in the pick. Like people are comparing him to Tatum already.
He's got to change his name.
He's like 14. Like this 14-year-old. It's just not the name's not doing it for me. So, all right. So all of that. Let's talk about the Harden Simmons trade for a second because on its face, great value, but also, as I said earlier, wasted the entire season just to make this happen, and then a year and a half later won't pay Harden. So, like, the moves themselves are good, but the execution down the line ends up being not good. Like, Isaiah Joe, good pick. Harden, Ben Simmons, great. Charles Bassey, good pick. But then you just waste it. Like, yes, it was good for them to get this value out of this and get off the Ben Simmons contract 100%. But, like, not capitalizing on that is what's the most frustrating part. And is this the part where Daryl Morey innocent? Because I said they put together a team that was good enough. And despite Harden kind of shitting the bed for 3 of those games, Embiid being a little bit better, we probably make it to a conference finals. And this looks way, way more worth it in retrospect.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, that they just kind of sat on their hands the entire offseason 21. So you make this trade and you have like a half put together roster. And it's Harden and like Danny Green's playing big minutes. And
yep. Didn't use the MLE this offseason.
Yeah. I don't even remember who else was on. Who was playing? What would they have done? Danny Green tore his ACL. That went into game 7. Who
did we even start? It was Thibault. Thibault started.
Like would Furkan would have played like 35 minutes in that game 7.
Yeah, he would have had to. Yeah.
Oh my God. That would have been the Furkan game.
They had no depth because he just ignored the depth issues because he was like, well, who cares? Because we have to nail this trade. I don't care about the depth issues because the top end of the roster is what matters most. And then he needed a transaction cycle, which is what we'll get to right now, which, by the way, someone just brought up the Nets, a Nets fan, Will, in the comments, said that this was his 9/11 portion of the trade or of the podcast. This is my 9/11 portion of the podcast. Signed Willie Cauley-Stein and DeAndre Jordan to veterans minimum contracts. Why would you ever give Doc DeAndre Jordan?
Because Daryl is an idiot, and he just does not care about anything. Like, I don't even know.
It's still, when it happened, I was on a work call at the time.
See, I was like just drunk off the Harden stuff. Like, I remember being like, "Oh, this is gonna work. This is gonna work."
Sure. I was on a work call, and it was like the Lakers are waiving DeAndre Jordan so he can go find another team to play for, and there are going to be suitors for him. And I was like, "This is the worst thing that's ever happened." And everyone was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "He's going to sign with the Sixers." They're like, "Who cares? DeAndre Jordan's good." And I'm like, "No, he's not. He sucks now. This is really bad, and we have Doc as our coach, and he's going to play him." And a few minutes later, Woj tweets, "The Sixers are interested." And I was like, this is the worst thing that's ever. It was so terrible, and it was so predictably bad that even though it's a vet minimum signing and it shouldn't matter and blah, 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 just giving Doc a guy like DeAndre Jordan was just always a bad idea when you had Paul Reed and Charles Bassey. Like, always bad. And Bassey had multiple good games that season. Paul Reed, he was still raw, but like was more playable than DeAndre Jordan. And this was like where this was really should have been the tipping point for me, where I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Because every move since this has been like, I don't know, except for Melton, which was great.
Yeah. Like I said, I was fine with the DeAndre Jordan thing because they had Harden. They hadn't lost yet. And I was just like, this is going to work because we have James Harden.
Sure.
And then I realized James Harden was a loser. And DeAndre Jordan, not a loser. He is a winner because he's an NBA champion.
So true.
DeAndre Jordan, unfair scapegoat? Many are saying.
Yeah. Jared Dudley, DeAndre Jordan, Brian Scalabrine, some of the greatest winners of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they trade the pick with Danny Green, who had torn his ACL, so he wasn't going to play. He ends up getting traded and waived at the next deadline anyway. And that ends up becoming DeAnthony Melton. Great trade. I don't think that there were guys I liked on the board at that point, but there was no one that I felt like would have been as good as just trading for DeAnthony Melton on a good contract. Like, Melton was really good for the Sixers this year. I can't really complain outside of like some really poor shooting games that volume shooters always have.
He can't make a layup, but that's all right.
Yeah, that's an issue.
It's a little annoying.
Yeah, it's that. I would say that's a pretty big. But Melton's a good player. Like
he's a good player. They weren't going to get anything. The only guy they could have gotten was Nikola Jovic, who has trade value just because his name's almost Nikola Jokic.
Yeah. And also, if he was, but the Sixers drafted him, he would have had no trade value. But because the Heat are the genius organization,
we also would have hated him because his name was almost Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, it's a good point. Very good point. Yeah, that was actually a smart move by Daryl not to draft him there. No, there were a few guys like I like Jaden Hardy, Marjan Beauchamp or whoever, but like I don't even think he was on the team. What's that?
Jalen Williams.
Jalen Williams is not. Oh, the other Jalen Williams.
The superior Jalen Williams, yes.
The big Jalen Williams that Mike likes.
The better Jalen Williams.
Yes. Oh, okay. Also an Arkansas guy. Would have continued.
I love the Arkansas guys. I love the Arkansas guys.
I love the idea of Chiodo like just talking to someone about like the good Jalen Williams and like continuing an entire
I love the Arkansas guys.
He's like 6'9".
I don't think he's that big. What, the good Jalen Williams? Yeah, he definitely is. We're talking about the guy who plays for the Thunder, right?
Yeah, I didn't like Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams, the worst Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
In the draft because I thought that there was no way that both Jalen Williams would be good, and so I picked the better Jalen Williams.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go back and listen to our draft night stream, I was like, I wanted I thought Jalen Williams was going to fall to the Sixers range, and I was like, he would be a nice player. I would have liked to draft him, but also he has what I described as bus face, where he just looks like a guy that would never make it in the NBA.
I love all the Arkansas guys.
And I know Mason Jones, Isaiah Jones,
Moses
Ricky Council, Moses Moody.
Council.
Yeah. They got a squad, dude. They got Jordan Walsh.
I picked them to go to the Final Four every single year. I do.
Musselman's letting you down.
We need Musselman.
Well, they're the official team of YKB, the Hogs.
Isaiah Joe. I loved Isaiah Joe.
Yeah, the Hogs.
Yep. Yeah. We love them, baby.
Go Hogs. Yep.
Go Hogs. Okay, so whatever, a bunch of sign Julian Champagny to a 2-way contract, let him go later. Cool, awesome.
I'm just gonna pretend that there's two Champagnes. If he ends up being good, I'm gonna pretend he's the other Champagny.
No, the other Champagny's on the Celtics. We don't want him to be good.
No, I'm saying if Julian Champagny is good, I'm just gonna pretend we had the other Champagny. And
Justin Champagny, gotcha, so that you don't feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Very good point. Oh, okay. So no, I figured it out. This is where after this point, so like the DeAndre Jordan signing was like, all right, I'm starting to be like, what's happening here a little bit? Like, this is a bad move. Why did we do this? Like every other move up until this point, I pretty much liked. And then he won me back with the Melton trade, where I was like, this is great, dude. Yeah. Like he pulled off another great draft night trade. Like, absolutely love it. Then he signed PJ Tucker, who I've never been a big PJ guy. I know that he has his fans in the fan base, and he had some nice moments for us, but like tampering for Daniel House and PJ Tucker is just so absurd in retrospect. And also not even that, making Harden take a pay cut and basically promising you're going to max him this offseason so you could get these two guys, losing 2 second-round picks in the process. And now getting to this offseason and not being able to pay or willing to pay James Harden.
Yeah. And
look, fucking up that.
PJ Tucker is fine. Like he was valuable in the locker room this year.
Sure.
He got 3 years, $30 million. Bruce
33.
Brown got 33. Bruce Brown got 2 years, $13 million.
But we had to rush to sign him. And Bruce Brown was still available.
There was that clip that came out that Bruce Brown was saying no one was offering me anything.
We could have just...
I wanted Bruce Brown. Like, I told to sign Bruce Brown.
They probably thought Bruce Brown was redundant with Melton because they already had it. But, like, Bruce... There's different players. Like...
God. PJ. 39 years old, making $11 million.
Yeah, like...
God, he actually does turn... That's not even... I was joking. He turns 39 next year.
Also, I'm calling my shot right now. A year from now...
Oh, my God.
If Daryl sticks with this plan... If Daryl sticks with this plan to to open up cap space next offseason, they're going to trade our next year's 2024 pick because you can trade it on draft night. You can agree to a trade. We can't trade it because of the step-in rule before draft night.
Yeah.
But you could trade it on draft night, agree to the trade, and select someone for someone else. And he's going to dump it with PJ Tucker to a team to open up more cap space.
I will lose my mind. I mean, at that point, if I lose the second round again, I'm done. Like, I don't. Who knows?
Yeah, it's Jover, but like, still, I'm just telling you that's what's going to happen. I'm calling my shot now. Daniel House, I mean, fine, biannual exception guy. He had some moments.
He's another guy. Did you have to sign Daniel House at 6:05 on June 30th?
Yeah, like there was no one. Like he was on vet minimum contracts for 2 years. Like, I don't think there was anyone lining up to sign Daniel House. Like. It's a fine signing, but we shouldn't have been tampering to do it. Like,
God, how do you lose second round picks for PJ Tucker and Daniel House? Like everyone tampers, and
then this year we can't get a second round pick. Luckily, we got Tre'Quavion Smith, who's the god. So we'll be fine. Yeah, and Ricky, who he's been all right.
Oh, Ricky's gonna be a stud.
Okay, fair. All right.
Trez.
So Trez to a multi-year contract. This is just a repeat of...
Why are you giving Trez 2 years?
It's a veterans minimum deal. I know, it's a margin deal. I'm saying it's bullshit.
I know, but it's 2 weeks before training camp. Why are you giving him 2 years? Oh, Jesus.
I remember being like, we're going to sign Montrezl Harrell. And then we did it. And I was like, why are we doing this?
He's so dumb.
The defense has been sleepy these past few.
I don't have much to stand on. I'm waiting for my.
I'm just apoplectic looking at the guys we signed October 10th and October 15th.
No, I'm waiting.
Patrick McCall was a Sixer.
I forgot about Patrick McCall.
Oh, that's bad.
You guys are ignoring a little something that happened on October 8th. I was letting you cook there, letting you feel like you had finally, nailed me down. But here it is, slam dunk champion, read 'em and weep, boys.
I just realized what's going to happen. So, in the middle of September, the empty roster spot's going to be used, and they're going to sign Mac McClung to the last roster spot to get the fans excited. That's like an olive branch. And
quirked up white boy?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Here, you guys are mad. We're giving you Mac McClung.
Oh, my God.
Got to give the fans something so they don't storm Camden on the first day of training.
I just want to say,
if Castellanos is going to hit a home run, and then they're going to call it Mac McClung.
Casty.
If Mac McClung, I'm sorry, if Julian Champagny, who we had, turns out to be good, we cut him to sign Mac McClung to a two-way.
The dunk contest was worth it.
You're ridiculous.
I agree.
The dunk contest is like the best Sixers moment in 20 years.
Champagny is 6'7".
Let him cook.
It is. It is.
Let him kill. Let him cook.
What Sixers moment is better in the last 20 years? We haven't won anything else.
Game 5 of the Celtics series when
We didn't win anything.
I know.
You don't get a trophy for winning Game 5 of the Celtics series.
That was so much fun, though. I've never had that much fun watching.
It was, and then Game 6 happened.
When Harden got the screen and they put 2 on the ball, and then he had that little pocket pass to Daniel House, who then drove down the lane and kicked it to Maxey for the above the break 3. I was like, this is the best I've ever felt watching the Sixers.
That's the best game I've ever seen.
Dude, I was like, they're going to do it.
No, I remember what happened. I remember it was like the 4th. We were up 20, and Melton got a fast break on the layup, and he made it. And he finished the fast break layup. And I was like, oh my God, we're winning the championship. Speaking of the Niang, I'll never stop saying it. The Melton rebound passed out the Niang for 3 in Game 6. Should have been making T-shirts about that. I got emotional when that happened, and then they lost. I started to get emotional when that happened.
God damn it! We signed Seiko.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
It was an Exhibit 10, I think.
You should have kept him.
He's not
the problem that Chiodo has.
We can still get him. We can still just go get Seiko DeBoyo.
Stephen Lee.
We knew Stephen Lee played a real game for us, dude.
Okay, I vaguely remember that now.
Yeah, and then he ended up siding with the Suns. I remember being like, if this guy could shoot, he would be really good, but he can't shoot.
Play playoff minutes for the Suns?
He ended up playing something like that. Down the stretch of the regular season, he definitely played real minutes for them. So yeah, this is just a bunch of nothing. This trade that happened.
That is a lot of words for an irrelevant trade.
This was the Thibault. This is an insane amount of information, but I'll just sum it up. The Sixers traded Thibault and their 2023 draft pick that they got for Kobe Jones was taken with that pick.
I don't know who that is.
Is that true? That's very funny.
Kobe Jones is like, I think he might be. I didn't love him in the draft, but he got drafted by the Kings. Like he got traded from the Kings to the from the Hornets, who took back the pick that they originally had traded us. And we got Jalen McDaniels and a 2024 second round pick. And then, so we got 1 second round pick for Matisse Thybulle, basically. Which, honestly, part of me is just like, should we have just kept Thybulle and let him walk? There's no way he could have been worse than Jalen McDaniels was in the playoffs.
Thybulle is one of the worst players in basketball, in my opinion. But giving up that Hornets pick just makes no sense.
Yeah, like you could have kept the Hornets pick. Thybulle, you could have just let him walk. Okay, he gets an offer in restricted free agency. You don't match it. Fine, who cares?
And it's just like fundamentally, again, do you not understand who your coach is? Jalen McDaniels is not going to get minutes.
Yeah. Maybe he was so worried Doc was going to play Thybulle no matter what. And then he was like, we know how bad Thybulle can be in the playoffs.
Also, in the same trade, the Knicks traded what? Like Cam Reddish and a first for Josh Hart?
Yes. Yeah. We didn't have the ammo to get him. We didn't have a first.
Did we not? Like
I know, but
the Hornets pick is the second. The Hornets pick was like the 32nd pick in the draft.
We got to pump the brakes. Cam Reddish is bad, mucho bad. One of the worst players.
Where's the Knicks pick?
So would you? I'm telling you, I would rather have Thybulle and.
So the Knicks pick's 23.
Yeah,
the Hornets pick was 34. So yeah,
11 picks,
they couldn't have got it done, but like, I would have done anything to get that done.
They got Chris Murray with that pick. Who wouldn't have been there? You would have included Springer.
Oh yeah, for Josh Hart.
Sure.
I don't think that's a crazy take. Yeah.
No. I don't disagree. I wanted us to get Josh Hart. I felt like he would have been a really good fit for what we needed. Really good rebounder, good defender.
I mean, yeah, like they probably needed the first round pick just for PR reasons, but like.
That's the real thing is the PR. Yeah, you're right.
It's not that big of a difference. Like I feel like
11 picks and you have Mike Schmitz. You have Mike Schmitz.
Yeah.
Like the Mike Schmitz could literally
Mike Schmitz
anyone.
Destroyed Damian Lillard.
And like the Blazers wanted Thybulle for years. I think that's my thing. Like they wanted Thybulle for years. We ended up trading it for him. Like Thybulle and the Hornets pick is not that different than Reddish and the Knicks.
Yeah,
pick.
like, and if we had re-signed McDaniels to like what he signed for, I would have been like, fine, I don't care. Thybulle stinks. I don't really care.
I would have been mad if they re-signed McDaniels.
For 4.5 million?
Yeah, I think McDaniels is really bad.
You don't think he's $4.5 million worth? That's what Daniel House makes.
I really do not like McDaniels.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, if they sign,
I'm definitely not going to defend him. I know he's not a good guy.
I wouldn't have like freaked out if they signed him for 4.5, but I would have like I'm more than fine letting him walk. Like,
all right, you heard it here first. Breakout season with the Raptors next year.
Yeah,
just kidding. That's never going to happen. I mean, it could, but
they have like 15 Jalen McDaniels, so same skill set.
So yeah, but the owners would have had to pay more in the tax. This was never going to happen. Let's be serious. All right, so last few moves that were made here. We signed the Mac McClung for the dunk contest. Love it.
Easy win. That was a great signing.
Dwayne Dedmon, another great fucking signing. Dedmon actually didn't come back to bite us in the same way that DeAndre Jordan did.
No, that pick, that ended up not mattering because Paul Reed was going to be the backup anyway.
But also, like, don't even sign him. I guess it was just in an emergency situation, but
yeah, like, I forget if I wanted. I forget if I was pushing
over Trez.
If I was pushing for them to sign a wing. I don't remember if I was or not.
There were no wings. It was after.
I know, but I can't remember.
No, that's not true. We could have signed Stanley Johnson, who's still a free agent. I guess he just sucks. Is he worse than washed Dwayne Dedmon though?
No, I can't even remember what I was thinking at the time. That was right at the Super Bowl. I don't know.
Yeah, you were lost in the sauce.
Yeah, I remember they signed Dedmon. By the way, they signed Dedmon the Monday morning after the Super Bowl, and people were mad. I'm just like, what the.
Yeah.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
I was actually getting mad. Like, I'm pro Dwayne Dedmon just because of that. People were getting mad about Dwayne Dedmon 10 hours after the Eagles lost the most painful Super Bowl of all time. Wow.
All right, last few moves here. Fire Doc Rivers. Obviously, that's a bad mark on him.
Bad decision.
He
should have given Doc his job. Doc and Morey Doc and Morey should have switched positions.
That was the honorable Brad Danny Ainge did right by Brad Stevens. So you would have liked that.
I would have liked Doc and Morey to switch positions.
Okay.
Yeah, head coach.
That's totally understandable.
Thinking about Daryl as a head coach is like very funny. He would have been doing like. Do you ever like read the stories about Vivek Ranadive like coaching like his high school like the children's team, and like he just completely ruined like girls' high school sport because he did like cherry picking. Yeah. He like made one girl just stand at one end of the court, and whenever they got it, they played 4-5 defense, and they just threw it.
I mean,
it's innovative.
That's what I'm saying. It really is like innovative. It's just like you have to see the world a certain way to like not understand that that's like not the point.
Imagine president of basketball operations Doc.
I mean,
he would be so good at that job, though. Who would have Doc? Oh yeah. Like, oh my God. He would never get fired. He would never get fired. He would go to the owners. How you doing? Like, glad handing, taking him golfing. Like, Doc would never be fired the way Daryl is going to be in 2 years.
Yeah. So Doc's first signing. I mean, let's be honest. It probably would have been he probably would have picked up Trez's option immediately.
Yes.
That would have been his first move.
He would have traded for Chris Paul.
Honestly, these are Doc. Like he would have. Pat Bev is 100% bringing in Pat Bev, a guy that he knows.
Is Doc still running the Sixers? There could be Daryl could be a public face, and Doc could.
Do we know if Doc is a Sheck West fan?
Yeah. No, Doc is not. There's no way Doc knows who Sheck West is.
Okay, well,
Bamba. Yeah, I was gonna say he did not. He did. Doc did like Commissioner Gordon in The Dark Knight, where he like faked his own death, and then he comes back at the end after they sign Trez back. We got you now, you son of a bitch.
Doc.
That's Doc's Gary Oldman.
ESPN. If you don't hire Doc, I am boycotting next year.
Isn't that a done deal? Aren't they? Isn't it like the new lead is Breen? I think the new lead is Breen, Burke, and Doc.
And then I saw something today that they were looking at JJ and Mark Jackson, which would just be, oh my God, what a disaster.
It's going to be JJ to replace Jeff Van Gundy if Doc doesn't get it.
Make the Eastern Conference Finals, which won't happen. But if hypothetically they somehow made the Eastern Conference Finals and I had to listen to JJ Redick,
it'd be brutal. Well, luckily we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So, all right, the other moves that Daryl makes are Ricky Council and Turk, great undrafted free agent Flyers.
They don't have tuberculosis on there.
Well, he just signed today or 2 days ago. So it's not updated yet. But they got tuberculosis.
That's what I'm calling.
I'm never gonna tubulus. I'm never gonna get tubellus. I don't care. I'm never gonna remember this guy's name. He stinks.
He'll be cut. He'll be cut like November 7th. So.
Yeah, like I'm not. It's not worth investing time into learning about this man. And then last few things that he did, signed Mo Bamba. I'm actually fine with the Mo Bamba thing.
As a third string center, he's a good option.
Sure, totally fine. If half the team wasn't centers, it would look even better.
Yeah.
I love the Pat Bev signing, even though he's kind of washed. I just love Pat Bev.
Washed. I mean, a minimum signing, like, it's fine.
Yeah, fine.
The issue is you're not doing anything else like that.
Exactly. And then Paul Reed, they signed to a multi-year contract, which obviously we talked about. It's great. Love to have Paul back. And then today, Philip Petrusev, and which the Petrusev signing, once again, Trez signing, no sense. I don't understand. You can't have 14 players on your team and have 5 centers and PJ Tucker 2. It's like, oh, everything will make sense. And it's like, well, then make a fucking move to make it make sense. All right, someone brought this up to me. I think it was Francis, was like, there's no way Morey could be this cocky in the radio interview, or Windy. Windy keeps saying Daryl Morey's got something up his sleeve. He's trying to and I'm like, I want to believe it, but like, I feel what is there to do?
I feel like Windy is the GOAT. He's my GOAT, but I feel like he's been doing this Daryl has something cooking ever since the Harden trade happened. Like, they're gonna get this third guy, like Daryl's, and he never has anything cooking.
Yeah.
So what do you guys? So who hurt the Sixers more than anyone besides Ben Simmons? Who's caused more pain?
I would say Fultz.
Okay. Well,
sadly.
Well,
not his
opponents.
fault.
Opponents. Let's say.
The Celtics.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're thinking of is Trae Young. What you're thinking of.
I'm not sure.
So who matches in salary with Trae Young? And is also a point guard.
James Harden.
What is Daryl cooking?
You're trying to do the Windy. You're like
the Windy thing,
you're
but
like,
my camera.
Perhaps they'll get
my camera's inverted. My camera's inverted. So I'm just saying, Daryl is innocent. This is a mockery and a sham. This is all circumstantial evidence. You can't see the whole plan yet. Let's wait until. You can't judge Daryl's vision until 2026.
It's going to be a mistrial.
Yeah.
You can't judge Daryl until 2026, and he's the GM of the Pelicans. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, as long as he well, no, I don't want him to be the GM of the Pelicans. We need to get Zion and picks for Embiid first.
Do you think if Embiid were to ask out, would he just quit, Morey? I don't know.
Yeah.
I
don't think he would want a second contract.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to want to do a rebuild, even though I will say this much. If you hear him in interviews with like Bill Simmons and shit, he said multiple times, like, he's like, I've never gotten the chance to tank. Like, I've never gotten the chance to like do a rebuild. He's never rebuilt a team really. Like in theory, yes, he did with the Rockets, but he kind of lucked into the Harden thing falling into his lap. Yeah. And even he admits that it was like part of it was luck, and like just good timing. But he's never had a team where he's just been able to like pick at the top of the draft, like do like, oh, we'll take that. And part of me thinks that the salary cap thing is just like, we have something cooking. We're a year from now, we're going to have all this space. We're going to be good. I think part of it is like job security, so that they're not like, are you doing your fucking job? And another part of me thinks that it's like, well, we can go in a number of different directions if Joel asks out. Yeah. Or if we like, we'll be able to do like, if Joel doesn't ask out, we can get a guy. And if Joel does ask out, then we have all this fucking cap space to take back bad contracts and picks and start the rebuild, basically, is what I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with 3 times in 4 years having to do the whole. We just did it with Ben. We're going to do it with Harden now. And we're going to end up a year from now.
Morey would be insufferable with an Embiid trade request situation. It'd just be awful.
It would be so bad.
One thing I will say is, I at least know Morey won't just like trade Embiid to the Knicks for RJ Barrett and picks.
Yes, no, that I know.
That would worry me.
Yes, I'm confident that Morey can do one thing and get good value out of it if they had to trade Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do it. I don't think he would quit I think he would pull off the trade and then he would just let his contract expire. I don't think that he would want to continue running the team, but I think that he would set us up well because he would be a psycho in negotiations for.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not doing that out of like loyalty to like Sixers fans.
No,
it's just about like winning the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's just that thing of like he's like doing like the Dark Souls speed run where you've like already beat the game, but you just gotta like
he hasn't beaten the game at all.
So I guess that's true.
So honestly, 3 years of him as GM, I would say first half great, second half not great. I would say from a transactional standpoint, I think he's been fine overall. I think that Mike, you say your analogy that you said to me about.
So I basically said Daryl has been overall in a vacuum. You look at it on paper, he's been good. He's done a lot of good. He took over a really bad situation like 1920. They were really, really tough situation. But he's also been a disappointment because it'd be like if the Sixers traded for Dame Lillard this offseason. Like they traded for Dame Lillard, traded Maxey stuff for Dame Lillard. And then next year, Dame Lillard shows up and he's CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
Like CJ McCollum's still a really good player. Like he's going to help the Sixers win games, but
he's not one of the best players in the NBA. Yeah.
Like when we got Morey, I thought we were getting like one of, if not the best executive in the NBA that was just going to be going all in on these, making great trades. And he just hasn't. Like, so he's been a bit of he's been a disappointment to me in that sense.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that overall, I think I'm going to have to declare it a mistrial because I don't think that we can determine whether he's been. I think that you genuinely do have to revisit it in 2 years. Right now, I would lean more good than bad, but the last year and a half, he has not done himself any favors. And if it continues to trend in this direction with the Harden thing as it is, and he continues to treat like players and people and like how he did with the Maxey thing, oh, we're going to wait a year to extend him, like next year, like they're just like numbers on a spreadsheet, then it could be the next time we talk about this when his contract is up in 2 years and he's potentially gone if they don't kind of right the ship over this next few months, we could be talking about like, wow, it actually ended up being a pretty big disaster. But right now it's like fine. It's fine. It's just not.
Yeah, it's fine. But
yeah,
like when they hired Daryl Morey, it was like a huge deal. Like,
let me just say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if the picks are shit, you must acquit.
Well, hold on.
The picks aren't going. Like the picks are going to be good.
Hold on. What do you mean the picks are shit?
He all his picks were gone by the time he got there.
No, they weren't.
No, we had all our picks. He traded the picks.
Which no.
He made
we had all of our picks. We didn't trade a single pick for Jimmy.
No, we didn't trade any picks.
We traded one pick for Tobias.
We were actually during that year, 18-19.
Stenographer, you can scratch my last statement. If the picks were hits, you must acquit.
I would say the picks are hits, but did we benefit from any of them except for Maxey and
I'm not gonna rip them apart for trading the picks. And like everyone is kind of doing that now. You have to do that. It's just
I think trading the picks was fine. I just think most of these picks end up being nothing, and especially if you can get good protections on them.
Like in fact, I would argue, go try to trade the 28 pick, like or whatever they can trade.
Yeah, I mean what they have right now is like it's so far out that like no one is really going to care about it unless it's part of a bigger trade. But like I mean they got Bryce Sensabaugh with the pick that they gave up in the Harden trade. I like Bryce Sensabaugh in the draft, but like he could be nothing in the NBA.
Not sweating Bryce Sensabaugh.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not anything to really worry about.
Would sweat is Kobe Brown,
who we could have selected with that pick, and he
Kobe
actually
Brown would have been incredible.
All right, before we get out of here, last final thing here, which we're declaring the Daryl Morey Slop Trial mistrial for now. We'll revisit it maybe a year or two from now, depending on where his tenure ends up going. But I just want to talk about the Clippers thing real quick because we talked about like, oh, they really have no one to trade, like whatever. They're unwilling to trade guys for James Harden. The Clippers thing's so funny to me because I know that they ended up not trading the pick for Malcolm Brogdon, but we were sitting here a few months ago, a month ago, and they were trading Marcus Morris, who they now are trying to trade as the main salary in a James Harden trade. and a first-round pick, which they selected Kobe Brown with that pick, for Malcolm Brogdon, and then the deal fell through because they couldn't see the medicals with Malcolm Brogdon, but like it's Malcolm Brogdon. We knew the medicals were going to be bad. But the reason I bring this up is because the Sixers don't have leverage, they're supposed to trade less than you would have basically got. Norm Powell is seen as a bad contract around the NBA. Yeah. Marcus Morris is horrible. He's washed. And then so we're supposed to give up James Harden for those two guys when the reality of the situation is that you just tried to trade Marcus Morris and a first for Malcolm Brogdon, who, even with Harden being washed, is a worse version of James Harden.
Yeah, like the Sixers might not have much leverage. The Clippers do not have any leverage either. Like, you guys are just West Sixers. Like,
yeah.
What are you guys going to do?
And you at least have a ticket out in a way. Not to say that I'm not sure you can win a title with Harden, and I'm still kind of not convinced. But this is their last chance to salvage that Kawhi Leonard, Paul George thing. And maybe they don't want to. Maybe they're just like, fuck it. We're not going to invest any more in this. We've already invested everything into it. Mm-hmm. But it's not a situation where like the Sixers could, like, they're getting a third star to pair with them, a guy who's going to play regular season games for them when those guys are out, and a guy that honestly fits really well with them if they're all healthy at the right time. The Sixers are the ones that are like putting the pieces together on the other side, even if they get Terrence Mann and a first round pick. Like, they're the ones that are still scrambling. So like, I know you shouldn't give up everything at once, but I do think that eventually a deal will get done in some capacity. It just has to.
At some point in the offseason, I think probably after the Dame thing gets figured out, assuming he just goes to Miami, both teams are going to have to look at it and just be like, we have to get this done. We both need each other. Like, there's no other solution. But if it gets to like September and the Clippers are still like, no, we're not including Terrence, man, like, you can go to hell. Like,
forget it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta say that honestly, it reminds me a lot of the Miami like kicking and screaming that they're doing about Dame, where it's like, you have to take Tyler Hero. He's good. And
he's better than Tyrese Maxey. He's just whiter.
We actually don't. We actually don't need to do that. So good luck. I mean, this is how I like this new. It's brutal for Slop season. Brought Slop season to a screeching halt because I do think there's
an enemy of the Slop.
Yeah, he really is like a.
It's the second off season in 3 years he's ruined.
But by the way, I just news of Daryl's acquittal is spreading fast throughout everyone. And I have a friend of the show, another lawyer, has actually. You all right with me playing this video from another famous lawyer for Daryl? Yeah.
Hey, Daryl, I'm a great basketball fan, too, and I was a pretty good basketball player in high school. I got fouled a lot, and I made free throws and actually got into a fight once because I won a game on the free throw line, and the high school that I helped beat didn't like it, so I got a little black and blue after it was over. But, as you say, if you don't want people to shoot foul shots, don't foul them. That's the key. Good defense can steal the ball without a foul. So 76ers, great team. I've been to a lot of Celtics 76ers game.
So that's
That's Celtics fan Alan Dershowitz. If you're not,
that's Daryl Morey's friend Alan Dershowitz. I don't know what Trill is talking about. This is Alan Dershowitz, lawyer, legal friend. Congratulating Daryl.
Thank you for making another part that I have to fucking edit out.
That is Alan Dershowitz. There is no.
I'm not saying he's not Alan Dershowitz. I'm saying he's not Daryl Morey's friend.
He might be. I mean,
he's congratulating Daryl. How about that? Allegedly, some might allegedly say he's his friend.
You're insane, dude.
Okay.
Oh, that's a great way to wrap it up. Yeah, I don't understand how we got over 2 hours in the middle of July, but here we are. This is how we keep it going, baby.
We didn't even need my rant about McMenamin and Lowe trying to cause class.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. Let's talk about it next episode.
Okay, sounds good.
Write it down.
Yeah.
Also, we're going on Round Ball Rock on Thursday to record too. And we're going to do a segment making fun of Zach Lowe. So we'll probably bring it up at some point during that too. Yeah. So thank you guys for joining me. It was a lot of fun. Daryl Morey innocent for now.
Another
I'm
victory
skeptical
for me
about
as a
it.
lawyer.
Yeah.
Another huge victory for me as a lawyer. I've done it again, folks.
Sam sat here for 2 hours, and we
is-
negotiated back and forth and ended up,
like Daryl Morey, I knew you guys would make the case for me if I
was gonna say,
laid back and let you hang yourselves with your own rope. You talked yourself into it. You guys started looking at Daryl's moves and
I
realized
did not talk myself into it. Just
you
for
were
the record.
you were talked into it more talked into it than anyone has ever been. Mike,
was there a
you're in
plea?
love with
Was
it
there
now.
any plea deal that was on the table, or?
A job with the Clippers.
All right, let's go.
All right. Peace,
Peace.
fellas.